Hello and welcome to the XboxEra podcast. It's episode 21. I am Sikamikanico and I'm joined by Shpeshal Ed and Kaironaut. And how is everyone doing?
Hello.
Good.
Doing all right.
Doing all right.
At home.
Doing as much
Like
as
everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, considering what's going on in the world, I think being all right is all right.
Yeah, being all right is all right. I went full quarantine and I cut off all my hair. Which was an entertaining process. So save your bald jokes for the comments below. I do have hair. This was a choice. Oh man,
Sure, that's what you tell yourself, right?
that's what I'm telling myself. I was receding, and my wife kept saying like, "Just shave it all off. Just be done with it." I was like, "Oh, I don't want to." But yeah, she actually went to town with a pair of clippers on my 6-year-old's head and produced what I would quantify as the worst haircut I have ever seen. Poor kid. and it's just like, what have you done?
Traumatized for life, right?
He thinks it's funny. He's and she's like, yeah, sod it. He's not going to be back in school for like a month or two. So just whatever. So yeah, sure, whatever.
Homeschool, man. Oh God, homeschool is painful.
It's tough, and I'm trying to get my my partner to kind of just chill out a little bit with it. She's like, yeah, but we've got to keep it up. I'm like, it's Easter holidays right now in the UK. Like, he wouldn't have school for 2 weeks, and we sure as hell wouldn't be homeschooling him if it was all normal and he was on Easter holidays, right? So just relax, let it all flow through. He'll catch up. The schools will put measures in place and all of that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, well, my daughter's already doing the homeschool thing. Like, our Easter holidays just finished here, so she's back at school, and yeah, there's a lot of good stuff set up, like Google Classroom and all these other things and resources that they use. But my daughter also goes to Greek school.
All right.
And the thing about Greeks and technology is that they don't mix great. And so her Greek school is and we're talking like Greeks, right? Like, not Australianized Greeks, not like they are Greeks. And they're attempting to use Zoom to teach classes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I've had to set up a few Zoom things. Although I've heard that they're some massive data leak and that everything is unsecured from those guys. I have no idea the veracity.
Apparently China's getting all our data through Zoom.
Oh, well, no, they're doing that through TikTok, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, TikTok as well. And Zoom. Yeah. But that was a disaster, that first Greek lesson. That was full on. But I had her set up. I was using this mic for her. And, had her all professionally set up, and the other kids were just a complete write-off. So, yeah. Interesting week.
Sounds interesting.
It does sound interesting. So, have you guys been playing any games during all of this crazy homeschooling quarantine? Yes. Dare I ask? Oh. Apart from the usual trio, have you been dipping your toes into anything exciting or interesting?
Exciting or interesting? I mean, I've been playing Valorant. I've been playing Modern Warfare. I've been playing Persona. I've been playing Tokyo Mirage on Switch. I've just been bouncing around everything. I've been playing Black Desert Mobile on my phone. I'm just trying to keep myself busy at this point.
Nice.
Yeah, the usuals. Although one thing I want to mention, in Rocket League, they just released a mode called Heat Seeker. And it is super fun, but the problem with Heat Seeker is it completely warps your sensors for the normal game. So the point behind Heat Seeker in Rocket League is that the ball is literally a heat-seeking missile that's guided on the goals. So anytime the ball gets touched, it shoots straight for the opposite goal. So the physics are all a little bit messed up like that. So as soon as you hit it, no matter what angle you hit that ball at, even if you try to hit it backwards, it'll just curve back around and head towards goal. And it does it fast. And so it's effectively tennis, really. Like, if both teams stay in their goals, it just becomes a game of tennis.
Oh, wow.
And the ball just keeps rocketing back and forth, and it eventually gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And it's just absolutely insane. And it's super fun, but the problem is if you then try and go back to normal Rocket League, it takes a long time to readjust back to normal Rocket League after you play Heat Seeker.
I can imagine.
Your brain is thrown.
It's completely warped.
That's hilarious.
But I got, I think I said a while back that I didn't have a PlayStation 4 anymore. So I got one back, and my brother let me borrow his PlayStation 4 Pro. So I've been playing Killzone Shadowfall again. Now that I got that back, grinding away towards that platinum trophy.
Really? Hang on.
Yeah.
You've mentioned this a few times, and every time we bring it up, you say, "Oh yeah, he's got one. I'm going to have a go." Have you finally tried VR yet?
The Quest, no.
Ah, God damn it.
Well, he's not allowed. Remember, he's technically not allowed to come over or whatever. So
it's true.
Let alone stick his VR headset on my face.
Yeah, that would be one way. Definitely breaking that social distancing.
I'm sure once
barrier.
This is all over, I'll give it a go.
Good.
He mentions the games that he likes, like he talked about. What was that game that you guys mentioned? The John Wick style game.
Oh, Pistol Whip. Yeah,
Pistol Whip. Yeah, he talked about Pistol Whip, Beat Saber, a couple of others that he's played.
Yeah.
But and my son just got Luigi's Mansion 3 today for Easter. He's literally playing it as we speak, so I'd like to give that a go. But yeah, that's about it. Usual stuff aside from that.
Well, I have a little rant that I wanted to save this up. I thought about doing something on Twitter, but I'm going to bring it up here, and it's Animal Crossing related. Okay, so I think I've spoken about it before on the podcast. It is enormously difficult to get my wife to either understand gaming and its intricacies and its idiosyncrasies, but also to just get her to realize that games can be fun, and it's enjoyable pastime, and there's story or there's addiction and da da da. Anyway, so long story short, I said, hey, have you heard of Animal Crossing? She's like, no, it's not for me, John. I don't want to play it. So I just said sod it, and I thought I'll just buy Animal Crossing on my Switch, and my Switch is the family Switch, right? So it's not mine specifically, but I'm the only one with a credit card set up against it. I'm the only one with a Nintendo account. So I bought Animal Crossing through the eShop, plugged it on, and I just parked it next to her. I said, just try it for 10 minutes, just have a little go. And she was like, okay. Now, success, right? She is hooked. Every night, there's been no time for any loving for Sikamikanico. She's just been seeing Tommy Nook and having some one-on-one time. Kind of starting to get a little bit jealous of this guy. But then she comes to me in the middle of my working day earlier this week. Like I think it was on Wednesday. She was like, "I need to get online. I need an online account. Like I need to travel to other people's islands. At the moment, I can't, and I need to get a plane ticket." I was like, "Okay, just relax. I'll help you out." So now, okay, let me have a look at this. Now, here's my rant, right? Do you guys remember back in the 360 days, if you had Xbox Live Gold and you had someone else that had an account, they wouldn't have access to Xbox Live Gold unless they also bought Xbox Live Gold. So it wasn't on your console; it was per account.
That's how Nintendo is.
That is how Nintendo is now in the year of our Lord 2020, and like I was irritated. So
you need to buy a family online pass.
Yeah. Now this is where I get really annoyed. Okay, so they're quite happy to take my money and I can buy games and I can buy add-ons. So I look at it, I do some Googling. I'm like, oh, great, that's backwards and old school. So I bought the Nintendo Online account, the family one. But then in order to invite people, I need to log into Nintendo Online. So I go to do that. Now, bear in mind, I probably created this Nintendo account 10 or so years ago. Like this is probably during like the Wii or the Wii U era. And I can't necessarily remember everything. I've got my username and password. It can log me in on my Switch, it seems, just fine. But then it says, oh, in order to get online on here, we're going to need your Google Authenticator. Now, I haven't used Google Authenticator forever. So I don't have a code. I tried installing it off of the phone and just using. No, it doesn't work. Nintendo's not a thing that I've got set up on Google Authenticator. So it says, just don't worry, just insert your backup code that you definitely took a note of last time you ever logged in, whenever that was. Yeah, I don't have that either. There is no other option to get into my Nintendo Online account. Like, there's no, I forgot my password, ask me some security questions. There's no email me.
There's no send me a text.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
So now I bought this. I now cannot implement it to get her online. I've emailed Nintendo, and obviously, considering the state of the world at the moment, there has been no response as of yet. So in the end, a friend of mine, I said, look, Amber, just set up your Nintendo account. Just go and do it. And I've got a friend of mine who actually said, hey, do you want in on my family? And I couldn't accept his invite because of this problem. So she's on my friend's account now. So I basically blew 35 quid on a family online account for Nintendo that I can't access or get into.
Can't you just add the Nintendo account to the Google or Microsoft Authenticator?
Yep, tried that. Won't fly.
He has to have done it like the instant he set up two-factor authentication with that. Yeah. And he doesn't. If he doesn't have access to the original app, if he doesn't have access to the original app he authenticated with on the original phone that he used to authenticate, then he has no access to that password, that input method anymore. So
as you can imagine.
Have you tried on the webpage?
Yeah, mate. I'm pretty technically proficient with all of these.
I know, but Nintendo stuff is really basic. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that there's no way to get in.
There is no, do something else. Email my whatever. It's if you don't have your backup code and you haven't got Google Authenticator, you ain't coming in, pal. It wound me up, and it's like, Nintendo. It is 2020. Can you please just. Why isn't it? I can just buy one and it has it for every person.
Oh, because Nintendo wants your money again.
Of course they do.
I think the bigger issue is that you can't set up enough of this stuff clearly on the console.
Yeah, and again, that's the other problem. And don't even get me started on the fact that you can only have one island on your Switch. So if I ever want to play, buy another Switch. Now, I'm not saying I ever want to play because I don't care. But that's stupid. So yeah, rant over. I'm sorry if any Nintendo fans out there are offended by my truth telling. Well, suck it up. You're wrong. It's bad system. Bad system. Bad design. Anyway, yeah. So that's and aside from that, what I've actually been playing is Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves. It's the ultimate isolation game. And and it's probably worth mentioning it. We geared up the XboxEra crew, so we've set up streaming accounts now at Twitch, at Mixer, under twitch.tv/the XboxEra. Same for Mixer. And yeah, we did our first test stream with myself and the crew of the Black Hurl on Sea of Thieves on Friday night, and it was jolly good fun.
Crew of the Black Hurl.
Yeah, that's what we call the ship. Don't judge us, all right? It used to be kind of like a vomity green, and then over time we got unlocked more cool stuff. So we kept the name, but the ship kind of just looks quite threatening. But yeah, it was good. If you didn't watch the stream, I think we're going to throw some highlights out on the YouTube channel anyway, which is always worth checking out because there were some very hilarious moments throughout. And as well, whilst we're here, it's worth mentioning on the YouTube channel there has been some significant investment of late. So we've got a bunch of new folks who have joined the XboxEra team, and the level of sort of passion and commitment that they're bringing is kind of mind-boggling. When we started this, we really wanted to just shine a light on the great community we know we have, and also provide a kind of an outlet for folks that enjoy the Xbox platform, but perhaps found that some places were not a great place to actually have a discussion about it. And that was kind of like the starting goal. But now we've seen some folks come in who have got some serious skills. We've got a new kind of artist designer called a chap called Pre-Drag from Reset Era Forums, who has been helping out with our banner art and things like that for a while. Because, I'm no artist for one. I know some of the guys do have some skills. Nick, I know you've got some design skills.
A little bit.
But he's brought a new kind of breath of fresh air to some of our visuals and our artwork for YouTube in terms of thumbnails and banners and things like that. And we've also had some folks really, really going all in with videos. So we've got Falcon, who does news of the week, and we have Mike, who does some more features, also known as Cage Maru, and Soul Blazers as well has come in and started doing some video reviews. So we're going all out here, folks, and obviously all feedback is appreciated and desired. And if you think we're doing something right, tell us. If you think we're doing something wrong, also tell us. But just be kind about it. But yeah, so it's been a kind of hectic, crazy time. But I guess everyone's making use of the free time that the quarantine might be giving us by kind of indulging in some of those passions, which has been really good to see.
Yeah, I feel like the I don't want to say hidden blessing, like as though this pandemic isn't something awful, but the downtime has really helped people rediscover like what makes them happy in life, Yeah. And things they never had time for because they're just working 40-hour weeks and not stopping, and then coming home and passing out and not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because they're so exhausted.
Yeah, it's very true. There's been a lot more downtime to kind of just chill and relax and switch off. So it's fun. Now we obviously had Inside Xbox. They threw together a little working from home edition, which was
that's
interesting.
Very random.
It did, didn't it? Last minute, almost.
Yeah, the way it came out of nowhere, I'm like, oh, maybe this is something bigger than an Inside Xbox normally is.
Are you talking about the one with Phil or the one with the one
Larry.
that came afterwards?
The one with Larry.
Got it.
Like it's weird. Like the way it just came literally out of nowhere. I thought, oh, hold on, maybe this is something bigger than what Inside Xbox traditionally is, because like otherwise, what's the point? And then it turns out there was no point. So that was a little bit strange.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some cool stuff. We saw some deep dive on Grounded.
Yeah,
we saw inside everybody's homes. We saw Phil's office. It was very nice.
Too bad he's got such a terrible
upscale Redmond house.
Too bad he's got a terrible camera and mic.
Yeah, Phil, you need to make
podcasts and interviews.
Oh man, but it's kind of cool that they were able to pivot, and I think that's probably something that Microsoft, maybe particularly just due to the nature of their technology stack and everything that they're obviously internally able to just provide. I guess they maybe have been able to pivot a little bit better with all of this craziness and working from home. But it does certainly scream that there has been an impact in terms of how games are being developed and the methodologies that are having to kind of be adjusted on the fly. I think that's certainly true across the industry. I mean, what have we seen now? We've seen we know that we've got a launch date for Gears Tactics. In fact, one of our guys is reviewing that at the moment. We've got a launch date now for Minecraft Dungeons.
Yep.
But after that, everything's kind of hazy right now, right? From the big AAA kind of games, we saw Sony, I think, has just delayed indefinitely. It was The Last of Us 2, and I think Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not sure.
Not officially, but it will be.
But it will be. And
I got told about that Last of Us delay too.
Oh, man.
But I was actually told it would be a small delay. This one could be big.
Well, and I think they perhaps rely more on their physical purchases, right. And when your retail side of things is just dead as it is right now, they obviously have to bear that in mind. It's tough times out there for this industry, and obviously for PlayStation fans who've been waiting for those kind of key titles this year, it's been a rough ride. But
I had already made the call that I was going to wait for PS5 for those, so looks like that was the smart call.
I think it's the smart call. I mean, we've had rumors now. I guess we had Inside Xbox, so I think we've said on this podcast before. Nick, you alluded to that we would have 3 events before the kind of the console's launch. We've had Inside Xbox.
We've sort of had one, like,
but I think everything went out the window with this virus.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was told that there'd be 3 shows, and that was before all the COVID stuff blew up. And then, of course, a lot of things have changed since then. Like, I was originally told that the April event where the Elden Ring gameplay would be shown, I was told E3 was another event, and then I was told there's one more. I have a sneaking suspicion now that this rumored May event could be the original April event that was meant to happen.
So do we think that this is a hardware? Like the Xbox.
I think it's games.
Here's the hardware. Here's some games, but very.
I think it's games as well. I reckon it might be both. And I think the April now is sort of like all that stuff that was thrown together, like GDC and maybe a bit of Inside Xbox, because even Inside Xbox they spoke about the Series X. Yeah. So I think what was originally going to be one of the 3 events became all those little information drops. Yeah. Throughout March and April. Yeah. And then the May one will be that originally planned April one, and then there'll be E3. Yeah. Anyway, who knows?
We'll see. We're going to
find out soon.
We're going to find out soon, and if it is May the 5th, cool. Looking forward to seeing that in like a couple of weeks. But I was just saying about the PlayStation delays, but at last, I think was it earlier this week or late last week? Sony finally threw the legions of PlayStation fans a bone, not an X-bone, by showing off the Dualsense controller.
Oh yeah, the controller that looks like it's having an acid attack.
That super ugly 2-tone controller. It's
the one where they said we're gonna stop trying and just copy Xbox.
Well, they did. It's funny, like, I got tagged on Facebook a lot after that controller was revealed from friends and relatives saying, why does it look so much like an Xbox controller? And at first I couldn't see what the hell they were talking about. Because obviously, their button layout is different, their stick layout is different, their home button, like everything on the face is completely different. So I didn't know where this Xbox controller comparison was coming from.
Yeah.
But then someone showed me a picture of the 2 controllers side by side.
And other than the analog stick placement, it just, the body of it is so similar.
Yeah. The actual outline of the 2 controllers is borderline identical. Like, they fully almost took the ergonomics of the Xbox controller and just straight up copied it. And also now they adjusted their options button is now the same as the Xbox One with the 3 lines. They took that standard industry design language of the hamburger lines, whatever it's called. So, yeah, it was good to see them do that. And instead of a share button, they have a create button, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which will likely do the same thing, but with like 2 new features.
Is it just going to be a Sony Legend button where they can make really, really tweaked GIFs with loads of After Effects?
It's where you can pretend that your PlayStation supplies better graphics than it actually does.
My guess is, because obviously Sony was ahead of the curve with the share button, and then
it was a great feature.
Nintendo copied that, and then so my suspicion is that the create button not only will obviously do screenshots and video clips. My guess is it'll do what I thought Microsoft would do with their share button, which they didn't. So it turns out Sony will probably do it. My guess is that button will also allow straight up broadcasting, like quick broadcasting.
Yeah, you press streaming. It, you're online, you're streaming. And
you're streaming straight away. Like maybe you preset some stuff beforehand and you just go straight to streaming. And again, remember, it's called Create. So you wonder if there'll be some sort of, I don't know.
On console, like video editor?
Yeah, I don't know. Like that word create is very, I assume, specifically chosen. Like, because not just shared.
It sounds specific, but at the same time, I honestly don't think it's going to be that much different from what already exists. I mean, you're not going to put a whole like You're not going to put Final Cut on a PlayStation or an equivalent, you know. And
yeah, but they've already got their recording. They've already got their software. What's it called? SharePlay or I can't remember what it's called. They already have video editing software on PS4. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that evolve further. But they'll definitely have like broadcasting built into that button, whether it's a long press, double press, triple press, whatever it is, and you'll just go straight to broadcasting on Twitch or YouTube. But yeah, I don't mind the controller, but I don't care what anyone says. It's but ugly in two-tone.
It looks okay when it's just a single tone.
Yeah, when it's a single color, it completely changes how it looks. It actually becomes a genuinely good-looking controller once it's either all in one color or the two-tone colors are in the same family. So I saw a mock-up where the bottom part was dark gray, the top part was a lighter gray, and it looked really good. I saw a full black mock-up that looked amazing, but the two-tone looks like a garbage.
There you go. It's official. It's opinion there. I have to admit, you know, the reaction initially was, what is this?
It looks like a Mad Catz controller.
Yeah, it didn't look right. But I've seen a lot of cool concepts then, like where all the buttons are clear, like they've actually got LEDs that light up the colors, the traditional PlayStation controller colors. It definitely is. It feels like it's, and they're packing a lot of tech in here, right? So we've got a microphone now, so like every controller is a Connect. They've got gyro in there,
which
right?
still the Xbox still doesn't have for some stupid reason. I mean,
does it feel to
me? They're never going to
put
it in.
Does it feel to you guys that Xbox are like, the controller is what the controller is? People understand how it works. It's the easiest and simplest way into the platform. We're not gonna change the world with this. Here's just a streamlined, more ergonomic version of what you've got.
I assume that's what the direction is, and I get that, attitude. But like, go ahead, Ed.
Look. I think Microsoft learned a lesson here, and it's one that Sony will most likely now learn with the DualSense 5. It's great to have all these cool features in controllers. Like, I like what Sony's putting in there. I think the mic is cool. Like, I'd be hypocritical if I didn't, because I like the mic. I think
the mic is literally the dumbest thing ever. But
no, I don't mind it. Like, I like the speaker. It was cool in Resogun and all that sort of thing. I like the haptic triggers and the resistance triggers. I like all that stuff, just like I like the rumble triggers in the Xbox controller, and I like the haptic rumble in the Switch Joy-Cons. All these things are awesome. They're all great. But in the end, how many times have you seen these features within controllers adopted at a mainstream level? It almost never happens.
Launch titles usually, but
you see it in a couple of launch titles. It's like Killzone Shadowfall was one of the only games to use the touchpad, and almost no games have used it since. Resogun used the speaker. Hardly any game has used it since. It's just, even gyro, like hardly any games use it.
We do have a staunch gyro defender here from Kairo. So let him.
I'm not saying it's not good.
Your argument is putting a feature that's supposed to assist current ways of playing games on the same level as something that was billed as redefining for a controller, like the touchpad was. It's not. Gyro has always been a way to supplement analog control, because analog control is inherently not precise. Like gyro exists.
I'm not saying gyro's not good.
No. Microsoft realized. So the thing is, like, I don't think Microsoft realized that, we're not going to put gyro in because no one's going to use gyro. Every shooter on Switch uses gyro. Every single one. Even games that aren't shooters on Switch use gyro. Right? It is a standard feature on that platform that is slowly becoming more standard on the PlayStation 4. You saw Paladins add gyro support on PS4 after they added gyro support to the Switch version, because the Switch players demanded that it was there. It just takes it just takes game design language to influence designers outside of the first party circle for how a specific feature should be used. Like Splatoon convinced millions of people that gyro aiming is great. And because of that, they demand gyro aiming in all their shooters now on that platform, you know? Like
got bad news for you, buddy.
I know Xbox will never have gyro, but the reason why it doesn't have gyro, I don't think you can reasonably say it's on the same level of why the Xbox controller won't have a touchpad, right? It's not that people won't use it if it's because it's not standard. Well, if Xbox doesn't use it, one, it's never going to become standard because not all three of them are using it. If all 2 out of 3 are using gyro, that's a better chance of it becoming a standard, right? So it's still on the onus of Xbox to adopt something like that. And if Xbox adopted gyro, then there's no doubt that gyro would become standard. Like, the reason why the touchpad was never a thing on PlayStation wasn't because of, it's just a useless feature on the controller. It was because no developer from Sony's first party could come up with a convincing use for it. It was something Sony engineers threw on a controller thinking there'd be a use, but it turns out there is no real good use for it and no amazing game to convince people that a functionality related to that is what they wanted in their games.
And I can't believe it's so big again. It doesn't need to be that big.
The controller doesn't even need a touchpad.
So much real estate. Like, it's just huge. Like, and again, the shape and positioning of the menu and the share buttons is still pretty yuck again. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
Like, they should be circles and lower, and the touchpad does not have to be that big. It just doesn't.
I would like Xbox to support at some point, and support gyro at some point. If it comes in a controller revision down the line, that's fun. Like that one's included in every Xbox Series X or Xbox or Lockhart from then on. Like the 3.5 millimeter jack was included, like halfway through, like 2015 is when the jack came into the controller permanently and shipped with every Xbox, and Bluetooth came in later. Like, I don't see why they can't do that. Even if right now the controller doesn't support gyro. Okay, right now it doesn't support gyro. That's fine. But if you can integrate it later down the line and push it with every new Xbox from then on, then at that point it becomes standard. Yeah, the people who don't have the gyro, if they want the gyro, will have to upgrade their freaking controllers. Who cares? You're going to upgrade a controller anyway at some point.
I don't think Xbox people are strangers to getting lots of controllers.
Yeah. So I've seen that opinion floated around on the why doesn't Xbox have gyro thread on Era, and I honestly don't understand how, like, what they're going to scrap all the controller designs they've come up with so far just to put gyro in all of them. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, there's an argument here from an engineering perspective about don't fix what isn't broke. You know, and truthfully, no one has really been screaming. Like, there is a minority out there that think gyro is cool. I, for one, would have liked them to go something completely nuts. I would have loved to see something like this as a new way of controlling Xbox. Like, and I think one of the devs on the Discord said, "Give me, you know, a control style like this for first-person shooters, and I'll make you a first-person shooter that's never been seen before." And I won't say which dev
PlayStation had the Move controllers.
But not something that's tracked by light, but something that's genuinely, like, 'cause anyone that's used VR, like, if I would love to be able to play Halo, for example, and actually be the one aiming. Like, because it is genuinely a bit of a game changer when you've got your line of sight and you're relying on your genuine.
But the 6 degrees of freedom stuff is so dependent on VR as a medium that it wouldn't really work outside of VR.
I know. So it would just be kind of cool.
Like, it's an input method that's great, and it brings to the table all these like realism to the style of play, for especially for first person games. But it's a realism that wouldn't make sense sitting 10 feet away from a TV screen.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I like gyro a lot. one of my favorite things about the PlayStation 4 controller is the gyro text input. I absolutely love that, and I hate that Nintendo doesn't have it, despite having gyro in their controller.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate it, because every time I input text now on PlayStation 4, I use the gyro input. It's so easy. Just zoom, 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 zoom. You can enter so much faster. I actually,
and it's something too where like, you don't have to revolutionize the controller to make minor meaningful changes to the way people play games. Gyro is a minor meaningful change. Putting paddles on the back of your controller is a minor meaningful change to a lot of people, and it changes the way people play. People become better playing with those methods. You know.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think should have been pursued. If not gyro, honestly, I probably think the Xbox Series X would have been better if the one new thing they added to the controller was at least 2 back paddles, 2 back buttons of some kind.
It's
all I can't sell you an Elite controller.
Yeah, that's
true. But
Microsoft
Elite,
knows that we will buy Elite controllers. Like, I mean...
Yeah,
I don't know. I just
think you can put 2 cheap feeling back paddles onto a regular Xbox controller. People will still buy a Series X, like an Elite. People will still buy this. People will still buy this because this is premium feel. This is amazing weight. All this customization. It isn't just back paddles.
Yeah, it is interesting though. Like we saw earlier this year, the add-on for the DualShock 4.
Yeah, I thought that was a hint.
And I thought, well, that's going to be a standard feature on the PS5
That'll be in the DualShock 5.
Yeah.
I'm like...
It's not on DualShock 5. It's not on the Xbox Series X controller. Honestly, like, back paddles should be the way controllers innovate going forward. Because that added input method on the back is so useful to a lot of people.
Yeah. Very,
I
very
understand why Xbox doesn't have it, because they sell Elite controllers.
Yeah.
So the question you ask yourself is, Sony did not do that back pedal attachment this late in the generation for nothing.
Yeah.
So one or two things is happening. Now, my assumption was that back pedals were going to be in the DualShock 5. That's obviously not the case. So that means one or two things is happening. Sony is either just going to allow that back pedal attachment to be plugged into the DualSense 5.
Which, looking at the ergonomics of the DualSense 5, they are completely different to the DualShock 4.
Okay, so
not only that, but doesn't the back button attachment require the extension port on the PS4 controller?
I think so.
Yeah, and the
DualSense
5 does not have the extension. The DualSense 5 only has a 3.5 millimeter jack. It does not have that extension port.
If that's the case, because I honestly don't know, that means either they're going to sell another attachment, or they're finally going to do at least the semi-smart thing and copy Microsoft and have an Elite controller. Yeah. Which is what I hope they actually do, honestly. I would love for Sony to make a genuine Elite controller, because third parties did it for the DualShock 4.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice for Sony to actually do
and
one.
It's funny too. All those pro PS4 controllers are basically just Xbox controllers, with the asymmetrical sticks and everything.
Because asymmetrical sticks are better.
Yeah. It's sorry anyone watching, it's true. Asymmetrical sticks.
Objectively better.
I think people bring it down to console wars. Forget console wars. If it was about console wars, I would suddenly like the fact that the Elite version 2 has an internal battery, and I still do not.
Yeah, I'd rather have subways.
The way your thumbs rest, and it's based on how you play games. So your thumbs rest higher. They don't rest down there. They rest up here. So it makes more sense for the analogs. So the way the Wii U Pro controller did it was at least a nice in between. Yeah. Like the sticks are symmetrical, but they're up high. So at least they're still in a natural position. It's not so much the symmetrical that bothers me as much with the DualShock. It's more the fact that they're so low. Yeah. That's not where your thumbs rest naturally.
And a lot of it. I do remember an interview that happened a while ago. I can't remember the exact interview it was, but it was with some original Xbox, people on the original design of the hardware, and they were talking about the controller and why they went with asymmetrical sticks. And the reasoning was that in a 3D space, your hand is no longer on the D-pad as the default input method for movement. It's the analog stick. It makes more sense that your thumb would naturally rest on the analog stick than the D-pad, because
that's right.
all the movement is on the analog stick now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's why I could see a scenario where Microsoft would potentially go with symmetrical sticks up high, like the Wii U. Because now that, if you think about the Elite controller, that you can have every button basically at the back and at the top. So theoretically, you could have a setup where you never leave the sticks with your thumbs. So in a scenario like that, it could make sense to have symmetrical sticks up high where your thumbs naturally rest.
Yeah.
Like the Wii U Pro controller.
The move down analog sticks make more sense for 2D platformers and anything that's a side scroller, because having your control on the main input like your thumb resting naturally on the main input method, the D-pad in that case, makes sense, not the analog stick,
Yeah.
So at least from that perspective, it makes sense why they would go with that method.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting, but I'm glad at least they've finally got something to talk about beyond teraflops and all of that other fun stuff.
I guess it means their box will most likely be two-tone as well.
Yeah, I've seen some interesting renders.
I've seen some cool designs as well.
I'm sure we'll see soon. So I'm sure the PlayStation camp will enjoy that. Speaking of cool technology, Nvidia and Microsoft released the Minecraft path traced ray tracing beta demo this week, and the results are pretty cool.
Phenomenal. The game doesn't even look the same.
It looks like a different game. It's unreal.
Yeah, I can't wait to see
ridiculous.
what developers do with all of this tech and all of this power for next gen. It really does.
Insane. It's going to be insane.
It's interesting. Kairo posted a video in the Discord of a guy running. There's a guy running Minecraft with ray tracing on, and the camera
and
would move the camera down to his PC, and all of a sudden you hear the fans really kicking, and then the computer just completely explodes. And I just wonder. You just have to wonder when the Series X and PlayStation 5 release. Not that I don't think Sony has gone very deep yet on ray tracing in the PS5, but I just
they
wonder
say it's there, but that's it.
Yeah, you just wonder. Seeing that video kind of made me realize why Microsoft went with that form factor for a console. I imagine that any game that has ray tracing enabled on the Series X, that fan is just gonna kick in a big way.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
It is, and I think you're gonna find. And this is speaking of adoption of technology, as we just were. I think this is where you'll find, if ray tracing now is standard in consoles, you'll see it become more and more utilized, refined, optimized. There'll be tricks and clever methodologies.
There's already software solutions too, pure software solutions. I think the Crysis Remastered, Crytek is doing a software-based ray tracing solution to get ray tracing on even non-RTX hardware.
What did they call it? They called it.
I can't remember what it was called.
There was a name for it. API something.
Agnostic, but doesn't care.
The tricks to approximate ray tracing, even without dedicated ray tracing hardware, are just going to get more elaborate and more insane as we go on. Because most people still can't even afford ray tracing hardware on the PC yet. So the fact that ray tracing is going to be in every next gen console, barring the Switch, but the two major gaming platforms next gen, it's going to accelerate, and developers are even going to start demanding it because it makes their job lighting environments so much easier.
I can't wait to see some of the stuff we're going to see.
Imagine just removing baked lighting from games entirely, because now you can just ray trace the entire scene.
Yep.
Why even have baked lighting at that point? It's not going to look realistic. It's going to take way too much time. You might as well just ray trace the scene, let the engine handle it. And that's the thing that excites me the most, is because now the artistry is going to come in different ways, people don't have to spend so much time approximating reality and shadows.
Yeah.
And now they can just put a ray tracing in a scene. Bam, done. Looks beautiful. Move on.
Yep. Very true. It's definitely going to be.
I actually think that's where it might make the biggest perceivable difference in those simpler games. And I'm not talking Minecraft simple, just even like a Minecraft Dungeons or just those sorts of smaller games where I think it'll have that bigger impact.
Yeah.
In terms of visually seeing that difference. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but yeah.
I mean, while you mention it.
Oh, go ahead.
Minecraft Dungeons. I unfortunately haven't got access to the beta, but I have seen some impressions from folks that have.
Looks good.
It looks really good. I'm not a Minecraft guy. I really am looking forward to just diving in with some pals, co-oping it, having a laugh, being silly with it. Bring it on. Really, really looking forward.
It's coming to Game Pass, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I've already got it preloaded. On my
When's the release date again? Just for the audience.
May 28th.
I was about to say 26, 28, something like that.
One of those. All right.
Let's look it up. Give me a second. Minecraft.
Like
Dungeons.
Minecraft. I have actually
May 26th.
been playing Minecraft Story Mode.
May 26th.
Looks really, really good. And obviously we'll be on hand with a review.
And it looks like it might also be coming to Mac OS. It says it's setting to release on Windows, Xbox, PS4, and Switch. But the Java Edition launcher for Minecraft Java Edition, right, has a pre-order button for Minecraft Dungeons.
Interesting.
So I assume they're going to be launching on Mac OS as well through the launcher. But don't take my word for it. That's just anecdotal evidence of looking at the Java launcher and seeing an entry for pre-ordering that game.
Yeah. Is it me as well? Or is it just, I don't know. A lot of people think it's silly business decision. I think it's the right business decision. It just doesn't gel with those that fight the console wars and are out there in the trenches. But I love the fact that because Minecraft is a platform and because it's such a huge game, it's the biggest game in the world, right? Move over Fortnite and everything else. Microsoft could have just said, yep, this is exclusive to Xbox and PC, but they didn't, and it's coming out on every platform.
Yeah, with Dungeons, yeah.
And I think that's
every platform barring mobile at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's awesome. Like,
and I mean, a mobile port of Minecraft Dungeons is probably inevitable too.
Yeah, that would do gangbusters, right? So it's just super, super cool to see that they're not going back on that platform vision. You know, they know and they understand that everybody expects Minecraft to be everywhere. So yeah, it's everywhere still. So that's super cool. I'm really looking forward to it. The other game,
also the fact that Sony relented on allowing Xbox Live login on PlayStation.
Yeah, they did.
I'm sure that played a little bit of a part in it.
Yeah, that's so funny. The other game that's coming out soon is Gears Tactics,
as can be seen by our wallpaper.
Can be seen by our
God, that game looks so good.
I can't help but feel that
it's been consistently impressing, like through every single piece of media they've released.
So good.
Yeah. And I think Microsoft is suddenly going to have that moment. And I know that there are a lot of hardcore Gears fans out there. Yeah. I like Gears, but I only care about the campaign, and I only play it once. All right, I'm not hugely into the lore. I jump on, I grab a buddy, we burn through it, we have a laugh. It's great fun, but it's a one and done. Now, they put some investment in on the multiplayer, and for those that enjoy that multiplayer, I'm sure it's great. But I probably am not wrong in assuming that there has been a significant drop off in the game from a longevity point of view, from a frequent players, concurrent players, everything else. It's probably not where they wanted it to be. And I have a sneaking suspicion that when Gears Tactics launch, I think the buzz around it, around the facts of the style of game, it's coming out on PC only. We'll talk about that in a second. I think there's something going to go, this is now preferred. Like, this is the better way to use this IP. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, isn't it?
Ages. I've been saying it in the Discord. I've said it on this podcast before. Just Gears now, I think the third-person shooter is done. Just Get rid of it. Be done with it. Just stick with tactics going forward. Tactics looks amazing. It gives
and
something
put Coalition on a different
different.
ID. Get Coalition to do something different. Like,
just rename them Black Tusk again and get them doing whatever the hell they want to do. Just stick with tactics. It gives the platform something genuinely different. Like it's cool that Xbox has a real-time strategy in Halo Wars, and they've got Age of Empires. They've got a turn-based strategy now in Gears Tactics. They've got a first-person shooter. They've got racing games. They've got, they've got so much stuff. Like I think, I don't know. I feel like turn-based strategy games are still relevant. Not super popular or anything, but they're still relevant. Like one of my favorite games on the Switch is Mario plus Rabbids. That is such a cool game, turn-based strategy game. And I don't see why tactics can't be Gears of War going forward. Like, Microsoft can bring back Perfect Dark as a third-person shooter thing. Microsoft can bring back Fable as a third-person thing. Like, they've got other stuff they can do in the third-person realm. Yeah. I don't think they need Gears in that space anymore. I don't know.
Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be sad. I'd be like, that's a shame. Like I like playing the Gears single player games, and I liked everything they did with Gears 5. I liked the kind of the little bit more freedom that they provided. I did. And I don't want it to turn into Ubisoft, item collector 2.0 or whatever, but I at least I want to give them the chance to kind of see that final vision and release like that. At least finish out the story, finish out the trilogy, and then move on. I have no problems with that whatsoever. But it's a tricky one because I think they're going to see that performance for Gears Tactics and the buzz around it, particularly from the fact that it's only releasing on PC initially. Now, I think the Xbox version has been confirmed
for this year.
So
for this year,
will we see that as a Series X launch title with all of the bells and whistles turned on?
Yep,
maybe.
Or it'll be a smart delivery
cross-gen
package. Yeah, it'll be a smart delivery package. And actually, you know what? It's not on the rundown, but I want to discuss it anyway.
Shoot.
Because this reminded me now. I got into a debate in another Discord about smart delivery. And in that Discord, I was being shouted down as if to say that smart delivery is just cross-buy. No, it's not. Cross-buy is something different altogether. Cross-buy is, Xbox's version of cross-buy right now is Play Anywhere. So you buy the Xbox version, you also get the independent PC version and vice versa. Yep. Cross-buy on PlayStation right now is you buy the PS4 version, you also get access to the PS3 version, and then you also get access to the PlayStation Vita version. Yeah, that is cross-buy. Yep. Smart delivery is more akin to what we have now with Xbox One and PlayStation 4 versions, then getting a Pro patch, One X patch. It's far closer to that than it is cross-buy.
Oh, 100%.
So you have the one version of a game, and then you get so the system will detect basically what console you're on, and it will deliver the assets and the relevant patch / upgrade for the console you're on. That is what I interpret smart delivery to be. Whereas cross-buy, as we know it now, is individually independent ports of those games. Like, it's separate versions.
Yeah.
Where with smart delivery, you're looking at the one version. So yeah, that was the debate that was going on in that Discord. I was being told that smart delivery is just cross-buy, and it's not. Cross-buy would mean getting independent ports and versions of these games. So you'd have an Xbox One BC version on your Series X, but you'd also have a Series X version. No, that's not how it's going to work. It is the one version of a game. So you will have the one version.
You're just getting different content patches for it.
That's right. So if I have a Series X only and I don't have an Xbox One, that version of Halo Infinite, it's not like I'm going to have two versions. So an Xbox One version that's sitting in my ready to install list, and then the Series X version. It is the one game. But what's going to happen is the system's just going to detect the console I'm on, give me the patch that I need for the Series X upgrade, and any assets that I need to download for the Series X, and that's it. That's what I believe smart delivery is. It's not independent versions like crossplay and play anywhere.
Yeah.
I had to get that off my chest because it was annoying me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the smart delivery option and the fact that the way that technology is going to work is going to be really, really good. But it is what it is.
So Gears Tactics is supposedly for 2020. They said it'll come in 2020. So most likely a Series X launch, but obviously it'll work for Xbox One, I'd guess. Either way, though, very much looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think the only problem with Gears Tactics that I think you've raised, and I don't really see that as much of a problem, the fact that it's PC only right now. A lot of people are asking where the Xbox version is going to be. And did you ever hear them address whether or not they're going to release an Xbox version of Gears Tactics at all? Or
you just said that, 2020. That's what we just said.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm stupid. Wow, I'm stupid.
No. The Xbox version is coming, but I understand why it was PC first. Like PC is where the turn-based strategy market is. That's the most popular platform for turn-based strategy games. So I understand the thinking behind going with PC first. But at the same time, they've confirmed we're getting an Xbox version. So that's the one I'll be playing because I don't have a PC at the moment. So
yeah,
that's where that sits. Kairo, did you want to talk next about the?
Oh yeah, so
Samsung Galaxy?
in all the big news cycles that came out, especially related to the next gen and stuff like that, I wanted to focus on a specific not necessarily Xbox related yet-ish kind of thing.
But
sort of leading back into Xbox. So everyone knows last year Microsoft released the Surface Pro X, which is an ARM-based tablet running Microsoft's custom-made in partnership with Qualcomm processor, the SQ1. During that conference, that Unveil conference, they welcome back, John. During that conference, they talked about the performance the performance stats of the machine and what it could do, and touted 2 teraflops of graphics performance with the Adreno GPU that's built into the processor, and such as this thing. Recently, the Samsung Galaxy Book S, which is the next big Windows on ARM machine to come out, released at least, I think, to reviewers. Reviewers have gotten their hands on it. They're sending out their video reviews all through TechTube right now. And the discussion has always been, what is the future of Windows on ARM, especially now that we have 2 really good devices for what they are. They're incredibly powerful-ish. I mean, the problem right now is that, and kind of leads into what the Xbox thing is, there's really nothing that supports those chips right now. Gaming-wise, productivity-wise, outside of select 32-bit apps like Microsoft's own Office, which apparently they're trying to release an ARM-based ARM64-based version of those apps at some point, but right now there's nothing. They chose to release the device with emulation of 32-bit apps as a stopgap, which is fine. But if it's not Microsoft Office or Google Chrome and you're trying to run productivity apps like Photoshop, then you're out of luck because those programs run like garbage. And when it comes to gaming, it seems really that you tout 2 teraflops performance GPU performance to what this device can do, but your own studios aren't releasing ARM64 versions of their titles on the Windows Store. Like, it strikes me as odd to proclaim this from the skies when your own company isn't supporting games on that platform, when you really could push games on a Windows on ARM system and say, hey, look, this is the future of the PC platform, right? Games are a really big way of showcasing that, but there's nothing. Gears Tactics is x86 64 only. Gears, like, there's been no updates on any upcoming titles or any recently released titles that are going to be able to be compatible with ARM64 Windows PCs. Nothing. There's nothing like that. And it strikes me as odd.
Microsoft is no stranger to inexplicably not supporting their own stuff.
Yeah, it's
Microsoft
bizarre.
is no stranger to that.
Well, I think you're approaching this from a very gaming mindset, though, right? So those kinds of devices, if you look at any Surface presentation over the last half a decade or whatever, it's always focused on productivity and not necessarily so much recreation.
Sure,
and
but then
typically, when they do those, they talk about GPU processing power within a tablet or a Surface, whatever. They demo Photoshop, they demo Adobe Creative, whatever. It's never really focused so much around games. I don't disagree with you. I think gaming is a great thing as an add-on to that.
It's an odd thing to tout the productivity of the machine. No doubt the machines are incredibly good for productivity-minded people, at least if it's basic productivity and not like actually hardcore creative work, because nothing in that productivity space even supports Windows on ARM right now. But it's a weird thing to do that and then also tout the graphics performance of your brand new ARM processor in relation to an Xbox One S, right?
Yeah.
And not release any games for it from your first party. Like, not even games that would be that intensive. Minecraft Dungeons isn't getting an ARM64 port for Windows. It's just an x86 port. Like, Gears Tactics isn't releasing on ARM64. So good luck to you. It's not even going to be compatible because it's a 64-bit app. And
you'll probably see these things come down the line, though. I think
they're
launching a new console. They've got to support the old console, all three versions of it.
I think as ARM systems become more powerful, and they're inevitably going to become more powerful and powerful enough to run these kinds of big budget titles without too much hassle, right? I think we'll see more of them, but it always strikes me as strange that people will tout this is the future of Windows when a big portion of the Windows experience is basically just absent from these devices. It's just not there, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought it was nice to mention that because I would like to see more eyes on it, especially since, like, these devices are capable. They're very capable, especially if their marketing is to be believed. But, it's something that I think people should consider going forward, especially as ARM will inevitably take over Intel in the mobile chip space. Regardless of what anyone thinks, it might take a while.
Yeah.
But the entire industry is heading towards an ARM-only future because ARM is just so much better at power consumption and efficiency than Intel chips will ever hope to be.
Wow. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't disagree with you, I think. But I think it's just a case of realities and juggling all of those different teams and the different kind of current in the now platforms and features that they have to support. I think it might be just a case of too much. It'll be after launch. Maybe if the game's applicable and the market's there, let's gear up a small team to port that over and do that work, or contract it to a third party developer or whatever.
Yeah. There's also a case of, like, you're creating what is essentially a new product category because Windows on ARM has never really been done well or at all in the past. Yep. I mean, the last one before this was the Surface RT, and that didn't exactly set the world on fire. So, there's not. I don't think there should be an element of, well, if the market's there, there should be. We need to make the market be there.
Yeah,
And you're not going to get the market there if you don't bother to create the market in the first place.
That is true.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Indeed.
Okay.
Now, last episode, we had a rumor mill.
Yep. We did. Even though you didn't see it.
You didn't see it, dear viewer, because after we recorded this rumor mill, Nick, and it's probably best you explain the reasoning behind this. We cut it.
It was lucky I tweeted when I did. So before we actually recorded the podcast, I put a tweet out. So we've spoken before about Dust Golem, who's a reset horror mod, who has been saying some stuff about Resident Evil, Silent Hill, blah, blah, blah. I tweeted out to him saying, hey, since you're leaking all this stuff you're not meant to, because I've been told he shouldn't be saying any of this stuff, I'm surprised you didn't mention the Resident Evil 4 remake that's coming. And then we addressed the Resident Evil 4 remake in our rumor mill last episode.
Yep.
But we also addressed a couple of other things. So we had mentioned about a potential state of play for PlayStation. I think we were also speaking about
Gears 5 DLC.
Gears 5 DLC.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we had to cut the rumor mill because I got a message from my source saying, can you cut the rumor mill? Can you cut the rumor mill? The state of play is not happening.
Yep.
Which, as we now know, it did not. And I do believe I may have also mentioned that Resident Evil 4 was potentially next year, which was an accident. I was getting all my stuff mixed up. Resident Evil 4 Remake is most certainly not next year. It's a fair way away. Luckily, in my original tweet, I didn't mention a date. I just said the Resident Evil 4 Remake is happening.
True.
So we did have a rumor mill, but we cut it. But we do also have a little bit of a rumor mill for this episode, which is around PlayStation. So, of course, we know Sony is no stranger. Obviously, it's pretty hard to argue that Sony hasn't taken COVID-19 more seriously than anyone else.
Yeah.
More than happy to delay their biggest game of the year and potentially biggest game of the entire generation in Last of Us 2. And I mean, let's be honest. Ghost of Tsushima odds are is also going to get delayed. It's still currently slated for June 26th, I think, but that's going to get delayed too, I assume.
Yeah.
One thing that it may get delayed, but while it may get delayed, they're actually ready, is the slate of launch games for the PlayStation 5. So while I have not been told what's launching for PlayStation 5, and believe me, I have asked, I have been told that the PlayStation 5 launch games are ready to go. They're done. And the main reason they're done, well, I mean, if you think about it logically, the main reason those games are done is because they were meant for 2019. Because let's not forget, the PlayStation 5 was originally going to release in 2019, which would suggest launch games for that console were probably starting back in 2017.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Well, yeah, think about it. If you have a console launching in a particular year, you start making software for that console at least 2 years in advance.
Interesting,
if not longer in some cases. So, given the fact that the PlayStation 5 was intended to launch in 2019, those games are ready. Like they are. Whatever it is that's coming is ready to go. Now, does that mean they won't get delayed? Well, we don't know, because the PlayStation 5 might get delayed. So they may end up getting delayed. Like Last of Us is done. Like it's probably 99% done. The game was originally meant to have released by now. Sony have obviously delayed Last of Us because they want to maximize the retail impact of it, which they can't do right now. So Sony's not scared to just delay that stuff. So if the PlayStation 5 gets delayed, then obviously those games will get delayed with it. But I guess the silver lining to having these games sitting there done and not releasing is, I guess they've got these studios have an extra year or more to just polish upon polish upon polish, nut out any bugs, clean them up, tighten them up. Maybe these games as a result won't get day one patches because they've already tested the crap out of them in that 12 extra months they've had, and just polish them up to a high sheen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is what I recently got told, that the PlayStation 5 games for launch are ready. They're done. But obviously they can't release yet because the console doesn't.
Can we assume that most of them are new games or most of them are ports?
No. The new games.
Okay. Brand
I got told the
spanking,
new games.
like new as in, I'm not talking new as in Last of Us Part 2 would be a new game launching on both systems. I'm talking like...
No, new.
Okay, cool.
Like actual new.
We know Godfall is one.
Yeah, I'm talking first party stuff though.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, right? Though, because
I'm referring to the first party stuff.
Horizon Zero Dawn 2, folks are out there hoping it's going to be a launch title of sorts.
Which it won't be.
So I guess I'm curious, what do they have?
Well, like I said, I've asked and I haven't been told yet. I'm not being told. Because remember my person asked us to guess what we thought would be there.
So they know. They're just being
and they know. Yeah, they know all the launch titles. They just won't tell me.
Interesting.
All they told me was that the games are ready. They're done. They're finished. They're just waiting for the console to release because the console's a year later than it was originally planned to be. So
that actually sounds interesting. What if the games are basically done at this point, and what's left is probably just minor bug fixes and fixes for last.
Which is great that they get an extra year to do that.
It's great that they're basically getting all this time to do that. But it makes me wonder that maybe Sony might do a thing where they let you download the PlayStation 5 games onto an external drive and just hook them up to your PS5 before launch.
Similar to what Microsoft are doing.
Similar to what Microsoft are doing. That sounds like something they'd probably be attempting to do.
Hopefully.
It's just a smart thing to do, because like people don't want to get their new console and sit and waiting an entire day to download. Get almost 100 gigabytes of stuff installed.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as we know, Sony also, again, as far as we know, because they've had GDC and they've had their deep dive. You would think that if Sony had a smart delivery equivalent, we would have heard of it by now. You would think.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft said that smart delivery is a technology available to developers. So that's why Microsoft mentioned it as part of their GDC presentation. So you would think that if Sony had an equivalent system in place, GDC was the time to mention it.
Yeah. One of the ex-mods, Matt on ResetEra, he said that Sony have something similar, but he did not go into details. He just said they have something similar.
Yeah, okay. Let's wait for Sony to confirm that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious, though, because that is the thing. We lived through a generation of remakes and remasters, right? Microsoft did them. Sony did them. Activision did them. Everyone did them.
Yeah.
And gamers, as a general rule of thumb, we like our classics and our nostalgia, but we love things with a new coat of paint, and the majority of gamers are like, yeah, sure. Now, I love Microsoft's attitude towards backwards compatibility because they're like, here's your game, but we've automatically done some stuff to it. We've seen already with Series X auto HDR, resolution bumps, and everything else that really bring to life older games in ways that the developers haven't had to go back in and remaster. But do we think that do we genuinely think that PlayStation won't go, here's Last of Us 2 remastered, PlayStation 5 exclusive? Or do we honestly think that they'll say to all of their fan base, oh, if you bought it on PlayStation 4, you'll just get the PS5 version free? I fully expect there to be a charge here. Right? I just do.
Yeah. No. I mean, we know Sony likes. We've already seen evidence that Sony loves making you buy the same game again. And they did it. It's not like those games were flops. Like the base bought them.
Yep.
So if they don't have a smart delivery system in place, which right now I'm leaning towards no, because again, like smart delivery and the tech behind it isn't something that the end consumer gives a rat's about.
Yeah.
That's why it was a GDC thing. That's why it was referred to as a developer technology that is available to them. It's something for the developers. So if Sony didn't delve into that as part of their GDC talk, and if they didn't delve into it as part of their deep dive, where is it? It's my assumption is it's clearly not there. And if it's not there, that would also then suggest that they're just going to make ports of these PS4 games that they choose. So I don't think you'll get, I don't know if you'll get I mean, it's cool if you get a pro patch, but would you get a pro patch if they don't have a smart delivery system? Like, the PlayStation 4 Pro is not a different console. It's a PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Hence why you get a pro patch. The PlayStation 5 is not a PlayStation 4. It's a completely different system. So, yes, it will play your PS4 copy of The Last of Us 2. Yes, you will get the automatic benefits that the SSD brings and the CPU brings, as in maybe
Stable
increased frame rates,
faster
loading times, and all that sort of stuff. But I don't believe they will be able to give you a PS5 patch for a PS4 game.
Because they haven't done the work at the back end to.
That's right. As far as I'm aware, they will have to make, and probably have already made, a dedicated PlayStation 5 version that you would have to buy separately, unless they're willing to take the hit and give you a free copy.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure I see Sony doing. I'd love to be wrong. Jesus. I would absolutely love to be wrong. If that's the case, I'll go buy a PlayStation 4 copy. Because I've got a Pro back now. So I will gladly go and buy Last of Us 2 on PS4 if Sony'd go around and tell me that the PlayStation 5 version is going to be free. I just personally don't see that happening. Hope I'm wrong. Pray I'm wrong. But I don't see that being the case.
Yeah. Any other... Anything else that's come out of the camps?
Well, there was a Reddit leak. So this one's not a me one. This is a Reddit leak. But having said that, while it's not a me rumor, it's a Reddit leak, and having a read through it doesn't look outrageous.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself in the camp team #team
Okay.
Team real. So yeah, #team real. So there was a leak on Reddit. So I'll just go through them as it is on Reddit, the one by one. First thing, Halo Infinite has a very advanced development. It will launch in November with Series X. Nothing outrageous about that. We've heard the rumors. We've heard that Microsoft has all hands on deck with Halo Infinite.
That does seem to imply, though, that the Series X will probably launch in November. Which I think now with COVID we kind of expect. I know we were all on the September bandwagon, but we were on the September bandwagon before the virus took over. Yeah, if like we were right and the original launch was September, that does give them a couple extra months to build up inventory for a launch in November. Yep. So
even was it Brad Sams or was it Tom Warren? Even they said that they had heard September was the original plan.
I think both.
I think they both said it. So we were pretty. Assuming they're right, we were pretty spot on with that prediction because we had said September before the virus broke out. So but nothing outrageous about that. I mean, we've heard that it's all hands on deck for Infinite. I think they've roped people in from Coalition, from I don't even know. I think they've pinched people from all their studios to help out with Infinite. So they wouldn't be doing that if the plan wasn't to make sure it was coming out with the console. Next. Forza Motorsport Reboot is the reason why Game Pass not have motorsport games.
I'm loving the grammar here. You didn't even correct it.
I'm just reading it as it's there. I'm not adding any grammar. I am reading it as it is there. So, and it makes sense because the Forza Motorsport games aren't on Game Pass, are they?
Nope.
Which is interesting. So, Forza Motorsport
some of that's going to be
Reboot.
Licensing, right?
Yeah, maybe. But then Horizon's there. So...
But Horizon 4 is there because it was there when Game Pass was a thing. Horizon 3 is not, right?
Yeah, and the moment the licenses go up for Horizon 4, it's gone. So
so Forza Motorsport Reboot. So they don't call it 8. So you wonder now, given what that little sentence says, you have to wonder, does Forza Motorsport become a platform from here on out? So instead of getting Forza Motorsport 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, do we just get a Forza Motorsport platform that gets iterated on, updated, tracks added, features added constantly throughout the generation?
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know, its money is made via, I don't know, some kind of microtransactions. I don't know, skins, decals. Maybe people start to sell their library works of art on a marketplace of some kind.
For users. Be interesting.
It would, I reckon it'd be cool. I reckon it'd be awesome if you could have your users making money.
Yeah, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's some
they'd have to regulate
involved.
They have to regulate that economy so friggin' well, because like you see player-driven economies on games like CS:GO and TF2, and some of those cosmetics range into the thousands of dollars to get.
And didn't the Diablo 3 auction house become a disaster as well?
Yeah, I mean, they removed
all sorts of horror stories.
Yeah.
They removed
so who knows?
it
I still think in principle, though, it'd be pretty cool if you could make a library and sell it on the platform. That'd be, I don't mind. I think that'd be a cool idea. But we'll see. This one, another one, this is like the worst kept secret ever. Playground is working on Fable 4, launching the next year, possibly 2022. Again, nothing outrageous there. It's a virtually open secret.
Yeah, the only thing I raise my eyebrows at is that I do not expect the game to be called Fable 4. I expect the game to be called Fable.
Fable. Just Fable. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
Fable
it'll be
colon subheading here, but
yeah.
not an actual numbered title.
Yeah, I feel like a reboot would probably be better anyway, since it would divorce them from the Lionhead thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Now the funny thing is, this next one, honestly, of everything on the list, I find this next one the most interesting. Not necessarily the most exciting, but the most interesting. So, because remember, it was either last episode or the episode before, we said we've heard nothing out of Compulsion.
Yeah.
All the studios Microsoft has acquired, we've heard nothing about Compulsion.
Zero.
This is probably the first time we have. So it says here, Compulsion is making a new horror game to launch on spring 2021. That to me is quite interesting. Again, not necessarily exciting because Compulsion haven't made anything that I found overly great. But I like the idea that if this is real, it's cool that we're going to get an exclusive first-party horror game. Has Microsoft ever made a horror game?
Well,
you could tacitly say Gears 1 was kind of a horror game.
Well, yeah.
In its presentation.
It's funny, I forgot to mention that before. I still think Gears should just go survival horror if they're going to keep the third-person shooter. But that's for another day.
Yeah, I think Compulsion is like a... What's the phrase? The dark
wild
horse,
card?
in a way, yeah. Something to that effect, because, whilst I know that We Happy Few perhaps wasn't to everyone's taste, it certainly wasn't to mine. What I loved about it was it did have a very, kind of world building that was really cool.
Allegedly, the story was quite good. Allegedly.
The art style,
I don't know. I didn't play it.
Pretty cool. But the only downside of this rumor is I'm not a huge fan of horror because I'm a big wuss. So
big old baby.
But again, it's about that variety on the platform. I like that there'll be a horror game. I like that there's a shooter. I like that there's races. I like that there's a broad range of
smorgasbord of fun.
I like
things
that. It's
to
good.
play.
It's
how these Japanese games.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see about that.
The next thing we have, which, you know what? I don't buy this one. I'm still on team no more acquisitions. But according to this rumor, he says, yep, Xbox Game Studios have 2 new studios. That's all it says. I don't know. When our Discord had a little movement, if that's what you want to call it.
2020.
Hashtag 20 by 2020. And while that was in full swing, myself and maybe 1 or 2 other members against the army were hashtag 15 by 2020.
Yeah.
I think I was on that. I think I was on your team for that.
Last I checked, they've only got the 15 studios. So, Yeah, I think everyone just got excited because they bought that big bunch for that E3 where they mentioned like 5 new studios or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I just think people got out of control thinking they were just going to go on this massive spending spree and buy all these studios. Now, don't get me wrong. We're aware of the fact that they have been talking to studios and made inquiries about studios. That's natural. But talking to studios and acquiring them are kind of worlds apart.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I personally buy the 2 new studios thing. I'm aware of some studios they're talking to. I just don't see them having purchased anymore. Not for a while. I don't see any more new studios in the near future. But hey, if all of this list is real, then they have. Now, the next one's another weird one. Playful, the studio that made Super Lucky's Tale. Playful is preparing a surprise for Xbox fans. Now, okay, this is a weird one because I jumped onto Playful's website earlier, and it's very bare in terms of games. So they've got new Super Lucky's Tale, which is the Switch game. It's not on Xbox. They have this other creation game, which I can't remember the name of now, but it's on Windows and Mac. And they also have a third game, which was shown off in 2017, still hasn't come out, PlayStation exclusive, called Star Child, and a cinematic action platformer called Star Child. So, given that Lucky's Tale isn't really a thing on Xbox anymore, and I don't think the Xbox fan base bought it, I did. Liked it a lot. Whatever this is, it's not Lucky based. If I had to guess, personally, if I was guessing, Banjo-Kazooie Remake, Conker Remake. One or the other.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. I have no idea what this is, if it's real, but if I had to guess, Banjo Remake.
Yep.
I think.
It'd be good to see. Just, not a new one, but here we're just ticking the box.
In the vein of Crash. In the vein of the Crash remake, like that. Like, I mean, a full-blown new graphics, new everything.
All the bells and whistles.
The original Banjo just completely remade. Because we already got the HD Banjo, so it can't be that. We already got the HD one on 360, which is backwards compatible.
Conker remake, like Conker's, was it Free and Reloaded or something?
Live and Reloaded.
Live and Reloaded, but with even more fur tech.
All of the fur tech.
Yeah. Now,
it's interesting, speaking of Conker.
Yeah, the last one on the list, speaking of Conker. So the last one says, Doom Eternal, Conker Live and Reloaded, Dying Light, and Final Fantasy 13 will arrive to Game Pass on May. On May. I know it's supposed to say in May. I'm just reading it as it is there, and it says on May. Now, it's funny that Doom Eternal is there because I have been saying for a long time, I ain't buying Doom Eternal because I know it's going to come to Game Pass at some stage. Now, May seems very soon. The game came out in March. Yeah. It came out in March.
No way.
But I thought it was going to come by the end of the year.
Microsoft might be throwing around a lot of cash right now.
Yeah, Devil May Cry was 6 months or 3 months.
Something like that.
Between 6 and 3.
Yeah, it was Devil May Cry, I think, was the quickest third-party AAA game in terms of from release to Game Pass. So, records are meant to be broken. Maybe Doom Eternal is going to set that record for a AAA third-party game.
Maybe. It may also have something to do with... So Doom Eternal released when? Late Feb?
March. Same day
Early
as Animal
March?
Crossing.
So
same day as Animal
it
Crossing.
may have been adversely affected by all of the closures of COVID. And the Bethesda may be like, look, Microsoft, cut us a check. We'll let you have it on Game Pass nice and early. Because in order to just make up that loss of sales from a Tale perspective, I could see that happening. The one on that list that I'm kind of curious about, though, is Conker Live and Reloaded. Like, the single-player part of that is fine, but one of the biggest attractions to Conker Live and Reloaded was the live part, i.e. the multiplayer was kind of surprisingly...
Yeah, but Conker Live and Reloaded is backwards compatible, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But obviously the multiplayer isn't working.
Yeah,
okay,
but
I mean, that doesn't stop it from going on the server.
No, it doesn't. I don't know. I kind of like...
Honestly, I wish they would just figure out... I wish Microsoft would just figure out a way to get...
Turn it back on.
OG Xbox Live back online, yeah.
I just don't think it's
surely,
possible.
I think we've spoken about this before, but surely they could do something around XB Connect. Like,
Well, that's just more
buy
fooling
it,
into thinking it's
rebrand it,
System Link. I don't know.
or buy it and merge it into live. I don't know. There's got to be a way to do it. There has to be a way. Like, if these guys that run XKai and XB Connect can figure it out, surely Microsoft can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Imagine if they did though, and they brought for Series X, they brought the original Halo 2 OG Xbox version into backwards compatibility
Back online
with live running, good and proper, and all of a sudden people are complaining about hacks and stuff playing online, and they have to go back and update the game.
God, no, let's leave that one in the past, please, Lord.
It's funny though. I find that interesting. Like I wish we could find out. And Jason Rold is in the Discord, and he doesn't talk anymore. Like, he spoke the first couple of days he joined, and then that was it.
Time.
Yeah. He's been in the Discord for quite a while though. Like he was in the Discord when he first joined the backwards compatibility team. I'd love to ask them if they're returning to the backwards compatibility program now for next generation, because all they said was that they're stopping it for Xbox One, and there's games that they promised that never came. So when OG Xbox,
guess yes,
yeah, when OG Xbox was announced as going backwards compatible, Halo 1 and 2 were literally promised. They said Halo 1 and 2 will come. They never did. And I know we got Master Chief Collection, but wasn't original Xbox backwards compatibility announced after the Master Chief Collection came out?
Yeah, way after.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's not like Master Chief Collection is the reason Halo 1 and 2 aren't backwards compatible.
I imagine it probably works, but it's also a case of the games are there. Let them just play them via that method.
Yeah, and I think
probably like a priority thing.
It might also be a case of like, yeah, you can make them backwards compatible, but Halo 2 especially was known mostly for its multiplayer.
And with it being
at least
offline,
in the larger community. Yeah. And it being offline just ruins basically an entire half of that game.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't really matter.
But there's still so many games that haven't come that could. Like Fable, again, I know they've got Fable Anniversary, but
games with gold this month, just FYI.
I think that's over now. Fable was the first half.
Oh, was it?
So we're past the first half now. So now we're at Toy Box Turbo Races. Oh, funny that. Speaking of OG Xbox, so there was weird confusion with games with gold this month, and it made doing the OT on Reset and Meta Council really annoying. So when they first announced games with gold, they said they'd have those 2 Xbox One games, which I can't even remember now, Knights of Pen and Paper and Project Cars 2.
Yep.
And then they said they had Fable Anniversary for the first half of the month, and then they said Toy Box Turbo Races for the second half. But then a lot of people, including my son, strangely, not me, but my son, got a message from Xbox saying that the second half of the month game was Blinks. The OG Xbox Blinks. And then True Achievements posted an article saying, oh, it looks like Blinks is going to be replacing Toy Box Turbo Races. And I went with that in the OT. I sort of added Blinks in there, and then I eventually removed Toy Box Turbo Races. And then when the day finally came, I went to grab Blinks, and Blinks wasn't there. Like, that's weird. And Toy Box Turbo Races was.
How strange.
Oh, that's very strange. Checked online, hadn't heard anything, waited a day or so to see if Blinks would appear as free. Never did. Then my son's Xbox account got another message apologizing for Blinks not being there and apologizing for the confusion.
What?
So, which has never happened before. Like, that's
really odd.
Thing. Yeah, so there was a lot of... And it makes sense. Like, they announced the games with gold games very late. Like, the latest ever. Yeah. Like, usually they announce them at least a day or two in advance, if not more. These games were unofficially announced on the day, and then officially announced like on the 3rd of April or something like that, maybe even later.
Yeah.
It was a very weird month. I don't know what was going on. And again, I assume the whole working from home thing played a role.
Yeah, I guess so.
It was bizarre what was going on with Games with Gold this month.
Yeah.
But sorry, that's a tangent. That's a tangent and a half. It just made me think of it after talking about Blinks or OG Xbox.
Blinks remaster coming in.
Yep.
So that's it for the Rumourmill, right?
I believe so. I can't think of anything else.
That is it. It was basically just about the PlayStation 5 games. And of course, we addressed the cut stuff and the Reddit rumor. So I guess we're on to community questions now.
Oh, one of my favorite moments, the old community questions. So if you're a first-time listener to this podcast, every episode we throw up a post in Twitter on Reset, just basically saying, Discord. And in our Discord, of course, if you've got some community questions for all of us, we'll do our best to answer them and provide our thoughts and feedback. So I guess we'll dive in with Reset to start. So first one I've got here is from Monkey, spelt with a U and a K and an I. How close will the Series X's ray tracing capabilities be to the recent Minecraft RTX videos released this week? Well, I guess I'll field this by the demo that was shown to Digital Foundry and Austin Evans for the Series X unveil. They demoed a unoptimized ray tracing port that was capped at like 30 FPS or uncapped, and it was floating around the 40 mark on Series X that was path traced fully. It was there, it was working. Do I expect a optimized 60 FPS something version of Minecraft for Series X? Yes.
Probably 1080 60.
Probably.
Yeah. There's no way they're hitting 4K 60 given we've seen PCs blow up.
Yeah. So, we'll definitely see that. But I fully expect there to be a resolution or performance hit.
To be fair to anyone who might take that statement seriously, no, it was just a joke post. Some dude with a really ratty old PC trying to run a game he objectively could not run. And
could you imagine? Could you imagine if like Minecraft is the first ray traced game to come out on Series X, and we just have ROD 2.0, and just Series X's start blowing up across the world trying to run Minecraft?
Oh God,
they'd never recover.
Oh God.
But yeah, I would fully expect, certainly the same visual lift and all of the scope of it is going to be there on Series X without a doubt. It's going to be one of their banner things, I think. And we'll see that Minecraft resurgence continue for another decade of it being the biggest game in the world that no one talks about. Next up, we have one from Sukia Brood. When will we see the first stream from the famous podcast trio? I presume he's talking about us. And which game would we stream? So if we were to stream a game together, apparently it won't be Sea of Thieves. I'm just going to hold on to that Streets of Rage review code. You want it, Nick? You want it? You want it real bad.
It's on Game Pass anyway.
Blackmail.
Oh. Yes, April 30.
Yes, soon.
April 30 for Streets of Rage.
I don't know. Maybe we'll certainly look to whatever digital E3 rolls around. We'll certainly look to pull some of the XboxEra team members together to do a kind of live stream, watch together, and react together as perhaps a special edition of the podcast to some degree, or certainly for YouTube. But we'll have a think, now we're dipping our toes into that streaming world. We'll see what we can come up with that might be entertaining.
It'll probably be, if I had to guess, because it's not going to be Rocket League.
It's probably not.
It's not going to be Sea of Thieves.
Wait a minute.
I reckon if I had to pick, probably Modern Warfare, because that's something the three of us play, or at least two of us play a lot. One is happy to play.
Yeah. I could dip my toes, and it's got trios mode.
So I'm going to guess Modern Warfare is probably that game if I had to guess. Because I'm not sure if I can think of anything else that all three of us play and enjoy. And
yeah,
We could also possibly look into doing Let's Plays on the YouTube channel. Different people can get together and do like series on specific games, maybe even older games that just got added to Game Pass that we want to go through and enjoy with all you folks out there listening and watching, and
I guess
hopefully commenting.
Can you stream 360 games through Mixer via backwards compatibility?
Yes. You can stream. You can, if it's on Xbox One, you can stream it.
Yeah.
Split second.
Split second.
I'd be down to do a Portal 2 stream. So
yeah, we'll see. I guess we could throw that question back to the community and say, like, if we were to stream something either as the podcast trio or whatever, what would you like us to play? And the correct answer is make Nick play Sea of Thieves. Thank you very much. I'll throw the poll up later on.
He's going to throw a poll up, and all three options are going to be Sea of
Thieves. This is like the constant in joke now. But yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Next question from my British accent, and I'm sure for you guys, in America it would be ass. So I'm not trying to swear here, but I'm reading this as Arsene underscore P5. So if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, feel free to correct me.
Arsene
P5. Posted, this will be my first time to listen, so bear with me if we've talked about this already. I would like to know what first party games you expect at launch and what your dream launch games would be. How do we think Microsoft will treat cross-gen games, i.e. like Forza Horizon 2, where it was two different versions, so an enhanced port or a down port, I suppose.
Okay, yeah, so we're back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so I guess first part of that,
smart
first party games
solves that.
Yeah, smart delivery solves the second part of your question. You build one and it ramps up and down.
It knows what system you're on, and then just gives you the appropriate version. That's about it.
What do we expect for first party versus, and what would our dream launch games be? What do we expect? I think this is important to say. Phil did the interview recently where he talked about the slate of games for launch, and back in the day, back in the old retail channels, you launch a console, you have, like, you even think back to 360 launch, right? You had from first party Perfect Dark, Cameo, what else? PGR.
Was that launch?
I'm sure it was. It was in the launch window. But effectively, you throw everything in the kitchen sink at
Hexic.
Yeah, Hexic. You throw every game you can possibly get for your launch titles. And I think now, considering the world we live in, the digital world we live in, it doesn't make sense to throw everything in the kitchen sink. Halo is going to be the biggest possible launch game you will ever get on an Xbox for a console launch. There is little to no point in throwing up 4 equally big games from all of your heavy hitters, either be it Forza, Gears Tactics. There's not much point in doing that. What you should do is have it supported by smaller, more unique indie games that you might have got exclusivity for or have paid for the development for. You launch lean, but then you have that, you be transparent with the community and you say, so day 1 you've got Halo Infinite, but by week 2 here's the next big game coming straight into Game Pass from AAA, blah blah blah, and you keep that cadence going. That's my opinion. I don't think we'll see this big splurge. You'll see very, very small stuff supporting Halo Infinite.
And you also have to remember that we're going into next generation at a time when an unprecedented amount of backwards compatibility titles will be made available day 1 on an Xbox system. You're not going to be seeing the downtime waiting for titles that you saw with previous generations. Because
people's backlogs will fill the gap.
Yeah, people's backlogs will fill the gap. And games they're still playing will fill the gap because those games are going to be crossing over at the same level you play them right now.
And remember, a lot of these games are going to get enhanced by the Series X. So you'll even have people holding off on playing games till they get a Series X.
I already know a couple people that are not even going to buy Cyberpunk for the Xbox One. They're just going to hold on for it to the Series X.
Yep.
Because it's at that point, why bother? You're going to be playing it on the better system. Why ruin yourself on the weaker one?
Slight tangent. in the middle of community questions. The Cyberpunk console got announced, but it's coming out in June.
That is ugly as that thing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Okay, so the Xbox One X is arguably one of the best looking consoles that's ever been made. And part of that beauty is its simplicity. It's just a nice, clean black box. Or white. It also comes in white now. But yeah, it was originally released as a black box.
And a duotone, black-white.
It takes effort. It takes legitimate effort to make something so stunning look so ugly. And I am amazed that they have managed to do that. Because that console is gross. I actually like the controller, though. The controller is quite cool.
Yeah.
But that console is
disgusting.
Ugly.
Absolutely. The controller is nice, like you said.
Yeah, it is. I don't mind
it. The console is just... It's so bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
It glows in the dark.
Oh, it's just...
I don't give a crap if it glows in the dark.
Like, they went out of their way to make it that ugly because you have to try to make that console ugly.
Yeah.
Like, it's baffling.
It's an odd one. But
as for the June release, well, I mean, it was originally meant to be out in May, wasn't it? The game.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can understand the console's ready. Like that limited edition console is ready. So you can't hold it. What are you going to do? Release a limited edition console when the Series X comes out? Like, it's just
pointless.
Like, and clearly something we didn't discuss, and maybe we should have. Clearly, the channel is being cleared of One X's.
Yeah.
Because isn't $299 basically the standard price now?
Yeah, it's coming right now.
Like,
it was $199 for a while too.
Yeah, they're clearly clearing the channel of series of One X's. So I understand the console coming out in June because when the hell else do you release it? Like, the later you leave it, the worse it's going to sell. So you've got to get the thing out. So I understand that.
Yeah, I do hope that Series X port patch smart delivery enhancement of Cyberpunk is ready to rock and roll on launch day, though, because then that immediately becomes a pseudo launch title.
I am planting my flag.
It will be.
Think about it logically. If that game was ready enough at the time to announce a May release date, and then you delay it 6 months, or close to 6 months, you cannot tell me part of that delay is not the Series X patch. Because they also happened to put out that tweet the same time as Smart Delivery was announced. Yep. They put that tweet out. I mean, come on.
It's definitely, there's a partnership.
Let's be honest. That patch is there day one. It's going to be there.
It's going to be good.
I have almost no doubt.
So, I mean, and outside of that, I don't have dream launch titles because Halo Infinite is the dream. I'm super hyped to jump into that. Will it be a launch title, though? It'd be a nice dream.
No.
But
no. Well, I assume that's what he's saying. Dream launch titles, as in just whatever. For me, it'd be Perfect Dark. If I could get a third-person stealth Perfect Dark for launch, oh man,
happy days.
That's all I'd need. But yeah, Halo for now.
Yeah. So next question is from Stobeni Stallion. Do we think a Forza game will be announced this year to launch with Series X? They always launch with a new racing game, so I'd be surprised if it's just an enhanced version of a previous entry. So that's the first part of the question. Yeah, I think that if there is going to be another launch title, it will be the Forza platform game.
Forza Motorsport platform.
Yeah, so it will launch into Game Pass and everything else. Can't wait to see it because that's one genre that will really show off your ray tracing and graphical capabilities,
lighting and all that sort of stuff. Oh man!
Imagine if it's not only just 4K with ray tracing, but they target like 60 FPS with ray tracing or 120 FPS without ray tracing. Think about that. Like,
could be good. Could be good. And the second part of that question is also for fun. Would you like to see Microsoft revive a previous racing IP, i.e. Rally Sport Challenge, PGR, or Midtown Madness as a one-off third pillar under the Forza umbrella? And no, Forza Street doesn't count. Yeah, I think a lot of PGR fans would be extremely hyped. And that would be the other dream launch title, I think, for a lot of people is not Forza Motorsport, but PGR. what a time to be alive. That would get some serious.
I mean,
serious
even now,
stress.
that's still a good looking game, man.
You see the
even
gifts,
now,
and you're like,
oh man. And Rally Sport for me, yep, we've mentioned it on the podcast before. That's what DICE used to make before Battlefield.
Yep.
Rally Sport was a great franchise. Great.
Yeah. It was good stuff, without a doubt. The next one here, and maybe this could tie into our, what do we stream first? And I think it's a good call. And we'll reach out internally along the team to see if anyone's able to get some stuff together on it. From Skedaddle, Space Engineers released this week exclusive on console to Xbox One. You're able to play together with up to 4 friends. Will we be checking it out? And do we feel that these smaller exclusives on Xbox sometimes go under the radar? Other examples of this are Bless Unleashed being released exclusively on Xbox One during February, with upcoming exclusives like Bartlow's Dread Machine, Crossfire X, Kart Rider Drift, Phantasy Star Online 2, Tell Me Why, The Falconeer, and Tunic. I guess from
Artful Escape.
Artful Escape, yeah. I guess from an initial, do we think they're underlooked? We try as best we can, because there are a lot of games and none of us are getting paid for this, so we do what we can when we can. We try to cover those smaller games. We have a series on the site where we try and spotlight cool little Game Pass titles that, not so much a full review, but just a kind of like, heads up, this is actually kind of cool and here's why, go and try it out. And we do try and do that as best we can. We can't, just for the sheer volume, get to every single title that we'd like to, and obviously some of our tastes and our desires to play what we want to play when we can play come into that to a degree. I do wish that Microsoft perhaps marketed them all a little more. I know Space Engineers is one game that was on several of my sort of real life pals' radars. I'll certainly be trying to check it out at some point. The Falconeer is one game we already had the developer on for the Falconeer on a previous episode, Thomas Sala. No relation to Thomas Mahler from Moon Studios. Lovely fella. And we'll be looking to do something with him in the future at some point before the game launches. So keep an eye on us for that. But the rest of it, it is a case of whatever we have time to get round to. I don't think we disagree with that, right? There are some games on there that we're really, really hyped about. I know, Nick, you're really looking forward to Tunic. Kairo, I know you've probably... I presume you've probably played a bit of Phantasy Star. It seems like something that would be up your alley. I don't know if you're muted, by the way, Kairo.
You might be muted.
I'm muted.
You were. I saw you nodding, but... So yeah, it's definitely something that we'll look to cover more of, and it's a good question. But we definitely want to highlight as much as we can. And if you, indeed, much like you've done with Space Engineers, if you think there's a game out there that one of us specifically would enjoy, that you'd love to see the wider Xbox Era team cover off, shout us about it. Ping me or Nick on Twitter and say, hey, this is on Game Pass and I think it's awesome, and we'll have a look. Equally, if you want to write about it and you want us to publish something on your behalf, that's what we're here to do. So again, reach out if you think you want to say some words on Space Engineers or any of those games, or any game that you love. Just come and talk to us, and we'll work with you to shine a light on it. What else have we got? It's a good question, Skedaddle, so thank you for that. Just scrolling through the old reset. It's always difficult to have every single one of these bookmarks, but I know there's a couple more. I think that might be it, actually. Just scrolling through here. I think we're good to switch over to you, Nick, with Twitter or Discord, whatever takes you fancy. I've got the
Twitter ones. I've got the Twitter ones up. First question is from Craven God. Do you guys think with the studios Xbox acquired that we could be heading into an Xbox Western RPG renaissance? Yep.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, what do you mean by renaissance? Because we've been having some pretty great Western RPGs released and still releasing over the last several years.
I don't know, but now
they're
probably referring
obviously
to the
these studios
era.
Yeah, I mean, these studios now have Microsoft resources at their disposal. They're sharing technology amongst each other. We've seen little snippets of There's a system I think Microsoft has or something called Houdini that does cool procedural stuff. We've seen job listings for In Exile that they've hired the God of War combat designer.
And they are doing an ambitious
RPG. There's clues to the fact that their next game is going to be a third-person action RPG, potentially.
Oh, that's exciting.
The Outer Worlds was allegedly a really good game. And that was prior. Well, I've never played it, so I say allegedly. And, they now have Microsoft's money at their disposal. So I can only imagine Obsidian doing great things.
Yeah, and Chris Parker
they generally do
being hinted
when they
at
have access to a budget.
Yeah, and Chris Parker's being hinted at making a big Skyrim-esque RPG.
Yeah. So yeah, you're probably right, Raven. They probably will be.
I think it's a comeback because the question was pertaining to AAA or Western RPGs, right? Or was it Western RPGs in particular?
No, he just said heading into a Xbox Western RPG renaissance.
I think that harkens back to the days of OG Xbox with KOTOR and
Oblivion,
Jade Empire and Oblivion, all those kind
of
things. Morrowind,
I think at least for AAA RPGs for Xbox, we're seeing a bit of a comeback, and we're going to be seeing a bit of a bigger comeback. But a renaissance would imply that the genre has left, or at least has been in some capacity not as prevalent on Xbox in recent years, but that's not necessarily true because Elder Scrolls Online, Wasteland 2, all these like big names, Mass Effect, all these big names have been releasing third party or otherwise on the console over the past several years. So I don't really think it's a renaissance so much as we're going to be seeing Microsoft themselves invest more heavily in the genre than they have in the past, which is great.
Well, yeah,
because we haven't seen Microsoft itself do that for years.
Yeah, they're all in, and you can feel the difference. It's going to be it's going to be a good year.
RPGs, contrary to the popular belief, are great Game Pass games.
Yeah,
because once you get hooked, you're going to be on for hours. Hours, and probably do multiple replays, and you're going to want to keep subbed because you know that there's going to be another RPG in the pipeline that's going to make you that addicted again and again and again, and it's great.
Good times.
So thanks for that. Hypernova 474. Do you think Xbox will try to get indie AA Japanese games to launch on Game Pass like they have with titles like Outer Wilds, Astroneer, and Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden?
And I think whatever they can get their hands on.
Yeah, I was about to say, you see, they've got Yakuza, they got the Final Fantasy games, they got whatever else. So
I think it's just a problem. I think it's just a problem of networking and consistent upkeep because the largest reason why you don't see a lot of the smaller Japanese games on Xbox isn't necessarily only because the market for those games on Xbox is small. It is objectively pretty small compared to PlayStation and Nintendo. But at the same time, it's also because Xbox just doesn't network that well in Japan. And they haven't in the past. They've just recently started doing it with Phil's trips overseas.
But they do have an ID at Xbox team in Japan, don't they, now? Semi-recently.
Yeah, but that was recent. I'm talking like this has been years since they've really had a competent
I know. But
networking strategy
Hypernova is asking, do you think they will try? Now, the fact that they've set up an ID at Xbox team, the fact that they've set up an ID at Xbox team in Japan would suggest they are going to try.
They're going to try. I think but my larger point is that because they've lacked networkings for so long, it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of consistent effort to get some of those games to come onto Xbox. Yeah. Because at this point, there's no financial incentive for the game to just release for reasons of supporting the box without Microsoft having to step in and say, hey, what about us too?
I think as per Mr. Spencer, there's definitely going to be some form of studio acquisition out there, because not only is it great for Xbox customers and Game Pass and all those other fun things, I think he specifically stated, and again I'm paraphrasing here, but it's important to have that voice from that region at the table from a first party perspective. And that also helps that relationship building out there. If you've got, a respected developer from a studio from that region there with you, standing by your side, saying, "Yeah, come bring your game to our platform."
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. So yeah, I fully expect there to be some interesting stuff. Look, there is going to be a lot of surprises this year, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, they are going all out," and you will see it. You will feel it, and it's going to be one hell of a year for Microsoft.
The only thing I doubt in regards to Japanese games is getting any of the big Japanese AAA exclusives to make it over at all. It could get the smaller games pretty easy because, big company nudges you, you can support our platform too, and we'll help you out in whatever way we can, stuff like that. That works for a smaller team, right? But a big team like Atlas, right, is probably never going to make a Persona game on Xbox for the simple fact of, why should they? Unless Microsoft rolls out barrels of cash, Atlas is never going to consider in a million years any platform other than Sony's. And even if they were to consider Xbox at all, you would never see a mainline game like that on anything other than Sony's platform. You'd see a spin-off like you're getting on Switch.
Yeah.
But I still don't, personally, I don't understand why.
Yeah, it's just leaving money on the table for...
I know, it's leaving money on the table. But to them, they don't care. Because they make all their cash from PlayStation.
Yeah, but there's no way known that a port of Persona on Xbox wouldn't financially justify the effort the port would cost. There's just no way. And then you've got the extra cash injection that would come from Xbox for probably putting it on Game Pass.
Especially something because Yakuza is not as big as Persona. I could tell you that right now.
That's right. I
think we all agree there. Persona lit up the mainstream charts when Persona 5 released. Imagine releasing also on Xbox and getting the people that are never going to buy PlayStation 4 for one friggin' game. Right? It sold, I think Persona 5 sold 2 million on PlayStation 4 during its entire run up until maybe Persona 5 Royal. Imagine getting the Xbox money out of that. Maybe that'd be another 2 million, Yeah. But you never know that because Atlas just refuses to support anything other than Sony.
Yeah.
Seems silly.
Does seem silly. It does seem silly.
Okay, next question. Now, I'm going to say the Twitter handle rather than the name because that way from the Twitter handle you can find him. Blackheart JV asks, with Animal Crossing being a smash hit, do you agree that Microsoft needs to bring back Viva Pinata? Especially with xCloud coming, it's the perfect game to take with you anywhere. If Rare isn't interested, how about Frontier, the devs of Planet Zoo? So, we were going to talk about this during the podcast because of a tweet I made during the week. But then when I saw this was a community question, I held off. So during the week, I think might have been either the anniversary of Viva Pinata or Pinata Day, something like that. And Rare put out a tweet about Viva Pinata, which I then quoted and said that I think they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And I think we've spoken about that before. Viva Pinata was ahead of its time as far as the fact that it would fit in perfectly in today's gaming world.
Yeah, massively.
The whole mobile first, cross-play, cross-progression. I just think something like Viva Pinata, Sims are bigger now than they've probably ever been.
Yeah.
Whether it's your farming Sims, your Sims, there's a simulator for everything now.
Yeah.
And I just, and look at Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is probably bigger than it's ever been. I think now is the time to bring back Viva Pinata.
I'd love to see them just retool, or just make the best of, add a few additions, make it native Xbox One Series X with all of the live stuff behind it, make it playable on xCloud, playable.
Try and even make it a platform. Yeah, put it on mobile, put it on whatever you can, put it on Switch,
put it on PC. Even make it free to play and make the money out of your microtransactions with candy that you buy to make them mate, or cosmetics, or whatever the case may be. Like, there's so many things I think you could do with Viva Pinata now.
Viva Pinata Battle Pass.
and yeah, I think they're crazy. They'd be crazy not to bring it back. Absolutely crazy as a platform. More so than the way they had it in the first place. It's just like a standalone $60 product.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but you never know. Maybe they will. I doubt they'll outsource it though. I think if anyone's going to develop it, it would be Rare that would do it.
Well, I mean, Rare now has good experience with a games as a service with
live platform,
a platform game. So if anyone could do justice to a Viva Pinata games as a service, it would be Rare.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we do know Rare's working on other stuff, so let's keep our fingers crossed that Viva Pinata
could be that
one of those things.
That new game, Viva Pinata 3.
I love Viva Pinata.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Next question's from our friends Soul Blazers.
Yep.
Assuming Halo Infinite isn't ready for release. It will be, but let's assume it's not. Do you guys think they should delay the game and miss the launch, or launch the game and add features like Forge post-launch? No way they're doing that again. No way they are doing what they did with Halo 5 again. That's just
no.
Halo Infinite.
And it's for the health of the game and health of the community, because everyone was pissed at the way Halo 5 launched.
Yep.
No Forge at launch. Like, come on, really?
Yeah. When Halo 5 launches, whenever that Halo 5, when Halo Infinite launches, whenever that is, it is going to have the core stuff there. So single player, multiplayer, Forge, big team battle, those core things.
And you think about the consequences. You think about the consequences of not launching with all those features at launch, because remember, when Halo 5 launched, not only did it not have Forge, the majority of the fan favorite multiplayer modes were just gone. They weren't there. Yeah. Big team battle didn't come until way after launch, and to this day, it has not a single developer-made map. It's all community maps.
Correct.
And everyone hates it. Everyone hates it because, those maps. Some of them are pretty great, but the problem is people want maps made by the developer.
Developer-made maps. Yeah. It's something the Forge community. They obviously stepped into to assist with that mode, I think, back in Halo 5 days. And from a personal perspective, I do think launching Halo 5 back in the day without Forge, and it came 1 or 2 months update with the Hammer update or whatever it was called.
There was a lot of stuff missing. It wasn't just modes. There was
King of the Hill was missing.
There was even settings. There was even settings and options missing out of the game.
Simple stuff.
Yeah, it was full on with Halo 5.
So I do think it will be ready for release. I do think that there will be updates as the game progresses, but I agree with you, Nick. I think that for the most part, I think the game will launch with your single player, your core multiplayer. So that will be your arena,
and Halo has been known for.
And whatever new game mode it is, whether it is Warzone Evolved or BTB or whatever they do, it'll have those bits in. And yes, I sincerely hope that Forge isn't followed on and it comes at launch. We will literally just have to wait and see. As a big Forger, I'm enormously excited about what that's going to be like, because it's tantalizing. I love making stuff in Halo and making all those kind of custom maps. So we'll just have to wait and see.
For the health of the community, if the game does not launch as a complete package like it should, then
forget it.
343 will have shot themselves in the foot again.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll look. If they were given the choice between releasing missing stuff or delaying, they'd probably delay.
Yeah.
But the fact that we pretty much know for a fact that they have pulled in other first-party teams to help them, suggests that they're not intending on delaying. Like, they are going to get this thing out come hell or high water.
They'll pull out all the stops.
Yeah, and the fact that they're pulling in all those other teams to get it out come hell or high water would suggest that there's a lot of stuff in there to get out.
Yep.
So I'd say it's not being delayed, and I'd say that it's releasing with everything you expect a Halo game to release with.
Yeah.
Yes, other stuff will come later. Who knows? Maybe a Battle Royale mode will bloody come later for all we know. But the core stuff that Halo is known for will be there day one. Yeah. I think.
Good.
Okay. We can discuss it further in the Discord, Sol. Okay, next question from Psygery. Psyrgery. Psygery instead of surgery. Psygery. Do you think that the backwards compatibility program on the Series X will be improved for pre-Xbox One console games, such as those on 360 or OG Xbox? Do we think it'll be improved?
Improved in what way? Like graphical enhancements, or
is that?
Well, I think everything that's backwards compatible now, I think they're rolling out that auto HDR, up-res, whatever. I think it will apply. I think the auto HDR will apply to most, if not all, backwards compatible titles.
I was about to say most of those BC games that were enhanced for One X, they're already 4K or close to 4K.
Yep.
And on top of that, like anything that's using the Huchi method, the one they're using to enhance those older games, will automatically be incorporating changes going forward, I would think, especially since they've upgraded it once. How difficult would it be to upgrade it yet again? Like maybe even see some of the original Xbox games hit 8K, because they obviously could on that much power.
Be super cool to see. Yeah,
you'd think.
Yeah, I think you will.
Can you imagine if they could get that going and Ninja Gaiden Black was 8K 60? Oh my god!
8K
oh my god, that'd be so good.
It'd be pretty good.
That game holds up, man.
Yeah, that game
is a pretty good-looking game.
The nuts. I would love. That's what.
I want Morrowind in 8K, even though it still looked like trash. It'd still be Morrowind in 8K.
Speaking back just quickly to that Dream launch title, Ninja Gaiden. I'd love it as a launch title from Team Ninja. All bells and whistles. Series X exclusive. Oh, yeah, sign me up. Yes, please. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty simple. Yes.
Now, next question is from Fielder's Choice 9. He says, recently joined the Xbox crew after a lifetime only playing Nintendo and Sony. Discovered that Crackdown is a gem on the 360. Yes, it is. Wondering if I should just play Crackdown 3, as sounds like it's basically an HD version. If you had to pick one to play, which would you choose? Okay, this is an interesting question because I tweeted out today that Crackdown 1 and 2 are currently free on 360. And they're both backwards compatible, Fielder's Choice. So you should grab both of them because they are free.
And with Crackdown 3, you're playing the game of the generation, so have at it.
Okay,
so,
you need to stop that. You need
Crackdown 3.
No, this isn't. I know this is a running tag.
Game of the year.
No, it's not nothing. It is nothing. It is nothing. It is not game of the year. Anything. It is a horrible game.
It's not a horrible game. That's bullshit. That is.
It's not a horrible game. It's a good game.
That's all.
It's pretty freaking bad. So
if you now look, having played all three games,
it is not fundamentally broken. That is the only good thing I can say.
All three games in the last 12 months. The thing with Crackdown and Crackdown 2 is, like all old games that you enjoyed, nostalgia plays quite a big role in how you remember these games. So I remember playing Crackdown 3 and seeing footage of Crackdown 3 and thinking, wow, this kind of is just a slightly better looking version of Crackdown 1. But to test that theory, I went and played Crackdown 1. And guess what? Crackdown 3 is so much more than Crackdown 1 in such a big way. Visually, gameplay, just Crackdown 3... Say what you want about Crackdown 3 in terms of its limited story, in terms of it's not the greatest looking game of all time. Crackdown 3 plays, in terms of how it feels, it plays infinitely better than the first two games.
Yeah.
As much as I adore those first two games, Crackdown 3 feels much, much better to play. Looks much, much better. Again, it's not an industry trend-setting game in the visual department. Could it have been better? Yeah, but the game went through development hell. That's no secret. No, I still think, given that they're now free, get the first two, grab them. They're backwards compatible and they're free.
Yeah,
play them. They're fun games. But the third game is definitely the best one.
Yeah,
whether people want to admit it or not, the third game's the best one.
It plays the best. I mean, there's things from the first title that I prefer, like the transforming vehicles, and I think that was lost in 3. Yeah. But yeah,
and number 2, for example, something people don't know about Crackdown 2 that they wanted in Crackdown 1, wanted in Crackdown 3, and didn't get it, despite the fact that it was in 2, is a ping system for the orbs.
Yeah.
Once you get down to that last handful of orbs, they're real hard to find.
Yeah.
Crackdown 2 has a ping system where you can ping to see if there's an orb nearby. Crackdown 3 doesn't have that. Crackdown 1 doesn't have that. So yeah, I think you should play all 3 of them, personally, but the third game is the best one. Just stay away from the multiplayer.
Yeah, it's not really worth installing that side of it, to be honest. Yeah.
Next question. From Daniel M.
Daniel!
I say that because there's a lot of A's in there.
Daniel, 5 A's, M.
Yeah. Do you guys find it weird that we hear a lot of devs talking up the PS5 devs, but you don't hear much about Xbox? It feels like it's forced praise, probably, or being defensive. You don't hear someone from 343 raving about how good the Xbox Series X is, but you hear people from Naughty Dog raving about PS5. And this has gone into a second tweet. Not only that, but when the devs do praise the PS5, they don't say it's better than the Xbox Series X, but the console is just good. To me, it's pretty telling. Well, yeah, Daniel, that's the thing. The vast majority of the praise you're hearing about is from first-party devs. And what else would you expect them to say?
Yeah.
And they're not going to mention Xbox whatsoever. There are first-party devs. Why would they mention Xbox when they don't even target that system?
I have an opinion on this, and this is pretty. I'm sure you guys would agree with this anyway. But regardless of the deep dives and things, the Microsoft and Sony, they both did 2 different methodologies. Both were kind of forced to happen because of COVID and because GDC was cancelled. Microsoft, I think, were a little bit ahead of the curve because they got in just before the travel bans and everything went in with Digital Foundry and Austin Evans. But one method was, here's all the tech, we'll let you guys play with it and ask us questions and we'll just answer them, right? At the end of the day, both sides of this are trying to sell you a product. Now, part of that will be deliberately glossing over anything negative and focusing on anything positive. Now, the only downside of this is the console wars that rage in the background on Twitter and in forums. We're all about teraflops, and the simple objective fact is that the Microsoft system is more powerful. That's just true. PlayStation 5 is going to be a great console. They've got a killer first-party team that's going to make great stuff. But as soon as that narrative was born, you had, almost immediately those teams coming out and going, ignore the narrative, like it's a really good console, and that's fine. But that's really why that's happened, and I think there's also things like NDAs that you have to bear in mind from all developers. Doesn't matter who or where you are, you have to stick to them or you get sued. And you saw very quickly where that Crytek guy spoke up and immediately was like, whoosh, knocked out into oblivion. Now, that's not to say that what he was saying was true, because it's, at the end of the day, it's just an opinion. But it is what it is. So I wouldn't worry Daniel, too much. I just would. If
what you're sort of implying here is that, is there a little bit of damage control? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, at least a little bit on the Sony first party side. Like, Mark Cerny kind of went out of his way to say that teraflops don't matter as much. Well, of course they don't when your console has less of them.
Yeah. They mattered a lot last gen.
That's right. They seem to matter a lot last gen. And then when the Pro and the Series X came along, all of a sudden FP16 was this thing that was going to matter. And guess what? Kind of didn't.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. Like when the Xbox One turned out to be weaker, all of a sudden we heard about billions of transistors. Like that amounts to anything.
Yeah. Microsoft did it too.
The thing that always gets me is people like, at least with regards to Mark Cerny, is people know he's a developer and a really accomplished developer and a really good engineer.
I mean, right? He made NAC, but okay.
A really good hardware engineer. Like he made a good, competent console. And it really showed through the PS4's life that it was a fairly like competent, well built together system, barring the cooling and noise issues that everyone knows.
It was a little bit conservative.
Yeah, it was a little conservative, but it was competent.
Yeah.
And the thing that always gets me, though, is people see him as an engineer first and not a PR spokesman, even though he's often in a position of speaking PR, right? Positive engagement with the platform. He's not in the business of shooting down PlayStation. He is in the business of making PlayStation look good, and he doesn't give a shit if he sometimes has to fudge the truth or focus on a specific thing that he thinks his platform will do better. It's just marketing. He is marketing and presenting a better air about the product that any PR spokesman would do.
Yeah.
He is not just an engineer of a platform, right? And people treating everything he says as gospel, while he might is disingenuous, yeah, because 90% of the things he says is likely just marketing and fluff that the spokesman told him to say.
Yeah,
I mean, he made us believe apparently that variable clocks are actually a really, really good thing. Funny how they've never been in consoles before, since there's such a great thing.
Yeah, it's definitely, it is just, you just kind of got to ignore the console wars. Like both at the end of the day, like black and white.
At the end of the day, guess what? We have two spec sheets in front of us. We know what the spec sheets are saying. You can't market your way out of the spec sheets, right? Yep. So take the spec sheets at their word, not this mouthpiece for a company. Regardless of his credentials, regardless of his background, regardless of how high up he is in the business, he is still a member of that business and has an obligation to make that business look good, right?
And it works both ways. Like I've said to people, why did Microsoft go with a split pool of RAM? We've seen throughout history that split pools of RAM aren't ideal.
Nope.
Yeah. And yet Microsoft went with it. And again, in our own Discord, we've had people say, no, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, why didn't they just go with the one type of RAM? Now, we know there are reasons, financial reasons and all that sort of stuff. But in the end, if given the choice, would you take an entire 16 gig of RAM at 500-something bandwidth or the split? You're going to take the single. You're not going to take the split. So in the end, it wasn't the ideal choice.
Yeah.
So that's sort of stuff. And have a look. Microsoft barely addressed the split pool of RAM.
Yeah.
Why? Because they know it's not ideal.
Yeah.
So just
So don't listen to people. You have the spec sheets in front of you. Look at those. Make your own conclusions. The PlayStation 5 is still going to be a great system for the people who are going to enjoy it. It's going to have some of the best exclusives ever made. It's going to have great support from third-party developers. You're going to be fine if you just stick with PlayStation. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't parrot the marketing lines of
the secret sauce
of people very much in the service of a larger corporation as gospel. They are not gospel. 90% of it is marketing. You have the sheets. look at the sheets. That is all you need to be looking at, really.
Yeah.
We know what's in that hardware. We don't need other people to obfuscate the truth.
I'd argue that really more than spec sheets, just play where you want to play. Go where your friends are, play the games you want to play, get both, whatever.
Yeah, man. If you want to use that ugly two-tone controller, use it.
Yeah.
You're not going to be looking at the controller while you're playing.
No,
God.
very true.
Okay.
What we got next?
The next one from the Scarecrow 101.
Yep.
Long-time listener, first-time tweeter.
Welcome.
With the recent comments from Phil Spencer being driven around price for launch, do you feel, as I do, that we are getting hints of a 360 style launch, i.e. launch first, have big games announced to keep eyes on Xbox? I guess so.
If the virus hadn't thrown so much into the air, my money would have been on a September launch, a couple of months before Sony, get all that buzz and that goodwill, be the first system out. Now, maybe not, maybe same month, something like that. But, beyond that, we're not talking like a year in advance or anything like that. If anything, Sony were targeting that. They were targeting to launch a year before MS.
Originally.
But they are definitely, what you are definitely going to see in terms of a 360 style launch is a platform holder that's all in on games for the first time in easily a decade. And when I say all in, it's not an afterthought. It's not the garage band at the back of the office that is told to keep the noise down. This is Office, Azure, Windows, Xbox, gaming. It's a big business, billions and billions worth of dollars. They are going to go for the jugular on a number of things, and we're going to see that later this year, and it's going to be exciting. So
yeah. So I mean, I guess technically that will be a 360 style launch then.
Yeah,
I guess in a way. But again, the problem is that everything with the virus is sort of they can't do. So the 360 launch we remember was that full-on event out in the desert. Like they can't do something like that now. Unless everything is all in the clear by then, they can't have something like that. But, I mean, yeah, there's clearly going to be a big focus on games and pumping out games with regularity from the end of this year onwards. Next. Okay, these last two questions are kind of, Jsing 10J, why is the May event on the 5th?
Don't know.
Because that's when they might be doing it.
We don't know.
Unless he was meant to be asking something else, like he says here, why? But maybe was he meant to ask, is it?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, because if the question is why,
that's the date they like.
Ask Phil, I guess.
They don't want to do the day before. It's Star Wars Day.
I was about to say they're not going to do May the 4th be with you,
unless there's an exclusive Star Wars title from EA.
Yeah. If it's a case of is it May 5th? Well, that's what we're hearing. May 5th. Yeah. Sorry, we probably couldn't answer that question better. The last one. Finally got to the last ones of Twitter. Cosmos_ER. Elden Ring soon?
Yeah, come on, Ed. You've been teasing this for months.
I know. Speaking of things that coronavirus has stuffed up.
Yeah.
Hopefully this May event is where Elden Ring will be. Because, I mean, I'd like to believe that it's still going to be Microsoft showing Elden Ring. Like, with every passing day that we don't hear from Elden Ring, it makes it increasingly likely that it's going to be Microsoft showing it. So, whether that's in this rumored May event, whether that's it, I'm still thinking it's probably E3. Their E3 digital event. But, maybe it's the May one. Who knows? As far as I'm aware, the deal was and is still in place for Microsoft to show Elden Ring. And the fact that we're now just past the halfway mark of April and we've heard nothing about that game would suggest that deal is still in place.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, soon, I mean, at the latest, we'll probably see it by June. So it's only a couple of months away. So, I guess so.
Soon.
All right. Yep.
And I guess we've just got the last few questions from the Discord.
Yeah, do we have to?
Yeah, we have a few. We've got Token Aussie, who's asked date predictions from us for the 2 digital events. I'm thinking the first Tuesday of May and the second week of June. And which are we more excited for out of these 3? Fable, Perfect Dark, or a new Western RPG? Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark.
And date predictions, we're here in May the 5th for one. And I would just imagine around when E3 was meant to be. So what was that, June 10th?
It's usually like June 12, June 11, in that sort of second week of June. Yeah, so I'm assuming they're just... I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft just does it at the day and time they would have done it had they been there in the theater.
Yeah.
That's my assumption.
Yeah. And I'll save Starlatine's question for last because they're always fun. From I think Soulblazers. Oh no, he's posted that in Twitter anyway. So,
Proven.
I think that Proven's got one. Do we believe that the 4chan leak? What was the 4chan leak?
Geez, good question. I remember reading the 4chan leak, and honestly, I reckon it's real. Proven. I don't know if these two saw it, but I did see it, and I reckon it is.
Give me the gist.
What was it just? Yeah.
It was a long list, just like the Reddit one.
So was this from back in the day where it was talking about like the different?
No, it's pretty recent. It's pretty recent. It mentions Halo. It mentions, oh god, it mentions a whole bunch of stuff. But honestly, I mean, there's some things in there that might have been a bit questionable. But I reckon
I think it was what? Panzer Dragoon.
No. I wish I'm spewing now. I can't remember it all, but I do remember reading.
This one was posted April 12th, 2020. Panzer Dragoon Saga, Azul Resurrection Revival details leaked on 4chan.
That one. Yep.
Yeah.
It's that leak. I read through most of that 4chan leak, and I reckon the majority of it is. Now, whether that turns out to be the case is another ballgame.
For those who aren't aware, the 4chan post says, my friend at Sega sent me this yesterday with some infos. Panzer Dragoon Saga will be a reimagining of Saga like FF7R, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Will keep the same combat system, but improve controls, camera, and UI. Some fights will be huge, like with the one against the Guardian Dragon.
I found it.
Will not only be able to move around sideways around enemies, but also on top and under them. Dragon bosses will have weak points hidden under their armor. His edge will need to crack the armor to reveal those weak points. No release date has been decided yet.
I found it. I found the official...
Okay.
The actual official leak?
Yeah, go on. What was the rest?
It says there will be 2 next-generation Xbox digital events next 2 months. The one in May will be pretty much like a proper console reveal, but it'll have selected showcase game announcements, demos. That leads me to believe the whole Elden Ring thing, and that was going to be the original April one. The one in June will be their E3 replacement for E3, show packed with games. The exact form of these two is still being worked on as we speak. It'll be live stream video content, though. There will be tons of new games by Xbox first party. Big guns, medium games, a few smaller ones. Their new games are sharing a lot of tech. We said that just before. Built for Unreal Engine 4. From water to PGR, GI, procedural systems with optimized Houdini access. We also mentioned that. VRS optimizations, physical vegetation systems, etc. The teams try to share tech to accelerate development. Most of this stuff is not outrageous so far.
Yeah.
Fable is one of these showcase games, a fantasy monster. I haven't seen it personally, but got told it looks beautiful. They try to build the whole fantasy world with handcrafted photogrammetry, yet the world will throw in a mix of procedural generation for bigger scale. Complete RPG systems in place, focus on great third-person fights and fluid animations. From the sounds of it, I expect the game to hit in 2022. Once again, so far, nothing crazy. Halo Infinite has a huge open world you can explore, yet the story missions themselves are linear to still be able to progress the story in a more classic way. Sounds a lot like CE. Optional exploration, which, again, I think I've said that many, many times before. It's a much more ambitious campaign this time around, not your usual 6 to 9 hours Halo campaign. They are doing one very bold move for multiplayer, which will surprise people. But this move has the potential to bring Halo multiplayer back among the top played games on Xbox. Now, who was it? Is it that Colt Eastwood guy? I think he said something about there had been some rumor that he was saying that he had heard Halo's multiplayer could go free to play, which I guess would line up with what this is saying. They're doing a very bold move. I mean, for Halo, that would be bold.
That would be pretty big.
Something like that.
As long as Microsoft figures out anti-cheat on PC, because that's been a rampant thing, rampant discussion lately.
Yeah.
Easy anti-cheat ain't gonna cut it. BattleEye ain't gonna cut it. Valorant's Riot Vanguard ain't gonna cut it either. Honestly,
that's the thing. Like most of this stuff, when you hear it, none of it is outrageous. Like,
and it's usually the not outrageous
rumored before. So I mean, when all of these rumors are saying similar things, you have to think at some point maybe they're all real. I don't know. There's still more though. He says God. Obsidian. OMG Obsidian. That's it.
That's exciting.
FM, Forza Motorsport, gets a complete reboot. Internal retooling of Forza tech happened during the last few years already. Engine in position for next gen now. Again, this sort of stuff kind of makes sense. And we heard earlier the Reddit leak about Forza Motorsport reboot or whatever it is. Further reboots coming. Just the tease of what's to come. The next 2 months are going to be fire. Phil not holding back. So that's the 4chan leak. So yes,
I reckon that's a pretty good sounding leak. It's all very positive. Yeah, be very, very interesting to see how much of that actually lands. But yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning towards maybe.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Cool. Be cool if it is all true. I really am just super excited to see everything in its final form, so to speak. It's going to be a great moment for Xbox fans. Although the Infinite rumor there, it harkens back to a discussion we've had with Xbox Live Gold. It's got to be going away. It's got to. It's just got to go away.
They can't keep it around.
No, it's just such a legacy thing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I actually experienced the sheer stupidity of it for the first time last week. So I made the move. I've held off for a long time, and I made the move of setting up my daughter in Fortnite because her cousins play it. And again, I didn't even think. I've had Xbox Live Gold for so long that I just didn't think of it. So I linked her Epic account to her Xbox account, chucked her on the Xbox to play Fortnite, and she couldn't play. I'm like, what? Why the hell can't she play? And it took me like a good minute to realize that she doesn't have Xbox Live Gold. So I was like, oh, God, are you serious? So she was playing it on the Switch until I figured something out. Did try to play it on the PS4, but her account is a child account, and no matter what I did with the parent settings, it refused to let her play Fortnite on the PS4. I don't know. Stupidity. Even when I completely unrestricted her account, it refused to let her play Fortnite. So PlayStation's got its own problems. But basically, to solve that problem, I had to log in with my account and her account at the same time so that she could play Fortnite. But yeah, that multiplayer requirement's got to go. It really, really does.
John, you're muted.
I think you're muted.
Simple answer to proven is yeah. I guess that 4chan leak sounds pretty believable.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. And I guess the last question, it's a nice one to end on before we close out. From Starlatine, your nemesis on the Discord, Ed, at this point, for community questions. He asks, can we use social distancing to perhaps quarantine Australians in general from the internet too? All they do with it is be rude with other decent folk and play Killzone Shadow 4. He has said if you flip him off again on the podcast, he will sue XboxEra. Does that count? I don't know. Maybe he's saying peace.
I don't know. Maybe that's
you're missing another question from him.
No, he talks about Australians. That's an Australian one. We just
yeah.
The opposite of the peace sign.
John, Sick, you're missing one here. He also asks, when will Xbox pay for the crime of promising us Blinks in vain?
Blinks in vain.
When they announced Blinks 3,
Blinks Remastered.
Yeah, Blinks Remastered. It's the game we've all really been waiting for. So
better than Crackdown 3.
Most Australians are adhering to the social distancing rule.
Yeah. But no, I think it's been a long one. We've had some technical issues this week, frustratingly. Yeah. So apologies. Yeah. I'm going to be one hell of an edit for me. Hopefully it will come out all right on the night. But as always in this dark and desperate time we're all living in, we thank you guys for watching and listening, and we recently hit 500 subscribers on YouTube, which is tiny, and I look forward to it being a year from now and seeing where we're at. But the growth we've seen since we launched end of July last year has been kind of nuts, and we love you all for it. So we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and obviously you guys keep telling us what you like, what you're seeing, if you want to see something else. We're out here doing it for you.
And we're looking into diversifying Mixer streams, Twitch streams,
everything,
YouTube videos, Let's Plays, everything.
We'll go all out as best we can, and keep your browsers and your ears tuned on us, and we'll be there. And we've got more cool stuff coming up, and you'll see when it lands. For now, I think we'll close out, and we'll bid you all adieu.
Stay safe.
Looking forward to Sega becoming part of Microsoft first party any day now. I thought I'd just throw that one in there because I know we just didn't really talk about the Sega leak. Yeah, it's not going to happen, but
it's not happening.
It's not happening. Maybe a partnership. We'll see. But
I would love it to happen.
I say
but it's not happening.
I think it would be cool.
Better late than never if it does.
Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Stay at least 2 meters apart. Keep playing games.
That's 6 feet for you Americans. See you later.
6 feet. Stupid imperial system. Have fun. Catch you later.
Ciao.
See you later, guys.